Alexa, turn on studio. Hello, everybody. Welcome into Hoopsville on a Thursday, right? It's a Thursday. Whew. I am losing track of time. It has been an absolutely wild month. I can't believe we're midway through February. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Welcome in. Hope you will enjoy today's show. I hope you've enjoyed all of our shows up until this point. It is always, we are working. I've never truly kept a count of how many guests and programs we've had on a show, but there's something that feels like we're working towards a record this year. I know the count of episodes that we did during a regular season, and we're gonna break that number. Yes, because we've added the top 25 show. That adds to the list. But I think what's interesting is what I think is going to be very interesting is how many guests we have. I did a rough edit, I think before this show or before the last show, when I was at 71 programs. If it was before the last, no, I'm pretty sure it's before this one. So we'll get to 75 now, but guest-wise, we're closer to 85, I think. Maybe higher than that now that I start thinking about some other things. And I'm not talking about Pat or Ryan, Matt, Scott, Gordon, Riley, and all the others we've had on the top 25. I just mean guests who have been programmed. Oh, geez, if we're talking all of them, we're going to be closing in on 100 here shortly. It has been a wild year, and I hope you'll support us continuing. We've got some great ideas for the future, but we got to get to the future. So head to Hoopsville.com. Head to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville, or the QR code in the lower corner. When we're talking to guests, it'll be in the upper corner. And join a Hoopsville membership. There's a donation section. It's literally, it indicates buy me a coffee. If you're buying me a coffee, you're just giving me a straight donation. Certainly appreciate it. Below that's the membership. Those are monthly. By the way, those donations can be monthly, but you don't get any perks with them. You go down to the membership, sign up for a monthly program, and you'll be able to join us for a bunch of things like the top 25 double take early. It's early access still for Monday's show. Probably tomorrow morning we'll flip it over to the public, including the podcast version of that. Also, my top 25 ballot, which is out. I finally caught up on last week's, got that done, and then I got this week's done immediately. I kept it from lingering while watching some Olympics. I got that taken care of. So that's how you can take advantage. Plus, the Off-Court podcast, I promise it's coming. We are in the midst of it. I got extremely busy. Being sick for a good chunk of last month of January, in January, did not help me. It's just excuses. They're not good enough, as they say. But still, no, we will be getting that because I am looking so forward to some of the conversations we're going to have. Well, that's interesting. Hold on a second. Got to move something over here. Some letters moved around. That's not how we do things. And the marquee is set. I didn't get a tweet out on this. Usually I try to, but we got it done late. Quickly, since I was just messing with the marquee. Bethany women's basketball. The Bison will join us. Their head coach, an Augustana grad, Mikayla Lopez, will be on the line. Farmington, that's Maine-Farmington, dead center in the middle of state for the most part. We'll talk to their women's head coach, Nate Carson, about their really remarkable season this year and some changes coming in the NAC. Gettysburg men's basketball. Matt Hunter joins us. They are atop the Centennial standings, remain there after Wednesday. Of course, he's in his first year as head coach there, moving westward from York, Pennsylvania. We'll talk to Matt about the success they're having now in Centennial play after what admittedly might have been a rough stretch in the middle of the season. And then Rhodes men's basketball. Stephen, better known as Zoe Goodson, will join us to talk about his Lynx. They are 25th in the nation and playing really good basketball. I think the win over Trinity, Texas certainly stood a test of time there. These are all programs that are at the top of their conferences or battling for the top of their conferences, trying to position themselves for the conference tournaments, which, believe it or not, are about to start. Remember, CUNYAC and NESCAC are the early goers, and they will be starting essentially a week from now. I cannot believe we're there. And then after that, the rest of the conferences will get rolling, except for the UAA. Still the lone conference without a conference tournament in all of NCAA, and it's not going to change. Let's just be honest, it's not going to change. Far too many challenges there for the UAA to try and do such a thing. So anyway, we are into the nitty-gritty, which reminds me that a week from today, we will be talking to the national committee chairs on the Top 16s show. In the past, we've fully revealed the top 16 as if it's some new and fancy thing to talk about and people don't know what it is. That won't be the case this time around, but we will be talking to the committee chairs. We will reveal the top 16s. We will talk about sleeper teams to watch out for, bid thieves, how the top 4, 8, and 16 can shuffle in the final 10 days of the season, how it will impact really the outcomes of things, but most importantly, we'll talk to the committee chairs, and we're going to want your questions. So we'll have an exclusive conversation with both committee chairs. Questions you have for the committee, wonder how the D3 tournaments are created, email your questions, hoopsville@d3sports.com, hoopsville@d3sports.com. Then tune in on Thursday, February 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern, and you'll hear from them. Admittedly, we do have the right to edit which questions we'll use, but we'll try and use every one of your questions if at all possible. That is all coming up on Thursday, Feb 19 at 7. We'll also talk about how they get to started on bracketing and what happens once teams know what's going on. You know, if they're in the tournament, how does the process go? How do hosts get and when do hosts get alerted that they're hosting? There may be some pre-calls, by the way, but how do they know they're going to be hosting? How do teams start putting their travel together? How does it all come together between essentially Sunday and Thursday when we start the tournament? So we'll talk all about that coming up on Thursday the 19th. That's at 7 p.m. And right now, we have penciled in a noon show that day as well. We have so many programs to talk about, so many programs to touch base with. There's only 2 programs we've technically repeated this year. We have a policy, if you're not familiar, that we will talk to a program just once until the end of February and March when we get into, obviously, the nitty-gritty of the conference and NCAA tournaments, because we want to spread the conversations to as many programs around Division III as possible. We've repeated twice, both on the women's side. One was Scranton, because we had that great conversation with Scranton and Catholic, the 2 players who have been friends, played with each other, or had parents coach themselves along the way. And then we repeated with NYU when they broke the record and have now 182 straight just this past Monday. So that's it. We have not repeated another program. We've repeated schools. I mean, Gettysburg's women were on the show earlier this season, but we haven't repeated programs. Might be wondering why I'm wearing a Wisconsin Eau Claire shirt, or this is a quarter zip. Well, you can send me something and I'll wear it too. We're wearing swag and gear, whatever you want to send us. Email us hoopsville@d3sports.com. We'll send you the whole spiel. That includes a few that we've already gotten. We have sent out some videos opening up packages. And the rule is I might have pre-opened one just to not waste the time of me trying to rip open a package or cut it open. But I don't know what's inside. I never look inside. So the video is my reaction to it. And we had some dandies. By the way, just to note, we've already sent this video out this week. Merchant Marine, Alexa Shield, thank you very much. Outstanding. Appreciate the jersey. This one you might see both on the wall and on me because Hood decided, you know what? Dave deserves one that might fit. How do I hold this up? It's so large. Yeah, because I'm out of shape. Hood, outstanding. I might be able to fit in that. We'll see. We'll see if I wear it in the future. But the piece de resistance, and when I recorded this video, I did not put 2 and 2 together. I noticed the patches on this jersey, but I didn't fully realize what I was looking at until I was putting the video together that came out today. It is Mount Union, all right? First little patch here is the United as one. This was one of the patches that the NCAA endorsed, and so they did it. The other one is an NCAA patch. This means this jersey was in an NCAA tournament game. Okay, that's hugely significant. The other one that really caught my eye and distracted me was this one on the other side, the Lenny patch. This is for Lenny Wright, who is a dear friend of this show and was one of the early regional reporters with Bob Quillman on this program. And when we had regional reporters, it'd be individuals who called in from their regions and kind of went through each conference as to what was going on. I'd love to continue that, but it's cumbersome. It's challenging. It takes up time as well from other guests, et cetera, which is why I think we're going to break a record this year. But Lenny was great. Lenny was a longtime sports information director at Mount Union. He died ahead of the 22-23 season. And that's when 2 and 2 started to come together when I was putting the video together. You've got the Lenny patch. Dear friend of the show, thank you so much. You've got the United as one, and you got the NCAA patch. There's only 1 year those 3 were on a Mount Union jersey in the NCAA tournament. Only one. The 22-23 season, when they played in the NCAA tournament, in fact, they played in the championship game. Remember that buzzer beater Christopher Newport had? That was against Mount Union. It was that game. And thanks to Ryan Coleman, who picked up on this, so I didn't have to go figure it out myself. He said that would be the Colin Gurley jersey. So I am wearing Colin Gurley's jersey from 2023 championship game. I'm not wearing. Geez, Lord, let me try that again. I have what Colin Gurley wore in the 23 championship game because they did wear black that game. Mike Feuline, you have gone beyond anything. It ranks up there with maybe considering getting it framed if it weren't so expensive. Meaningful does not hit any of the right words. Unbelievable. If you want to send us something, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. We'll send us a jersey, send us swag to put on our shelves. We'll put on the shelves. We'll do a video coming up. The problem is we're not going to be able to do one video of all these shelves, so maybe we'll do like a video of the top shelf and then a video of the next shelf down and then another video of the final. Like we'll see what the content gets us. But maybe we'll do a video of all the stuff we have on our shelves. But if you want to send us something for the shelves, feel free to send that. If you want something for me to wear, I'll give you my size as long as you keep that a top secret thing. Please. Would you mind? Appreciate it. Lots of action. Obviously, games were played over the week. Yes, that's the right word. But especially last night, it was a heck of a night on the women's basketball side. I'm funny because I was thinking about using the term jockeying in my show note for today. Like I have it is finish strong. And I thought about using jockeying because I'm talking about jockeying for position much of the day. Gordon used jockey for position last night, so I'm glad I kind of steered away from it. Susquehanna pushed Catholic into overtime and got past them in women's basketball. We talked on the Top 25 show how that might be an NCAA defining game, i.e. the loser might be out of the tournament if they don't win the AQ, which against Scranton is going to be tough. So it looks like Susquehanna has done a good job of solidifying that. Catholic is maybe in a little bit of trouble. St. Vincent won in the PAC. We'll talk about that with Bethany coming up. Whitewater and Eau Claire picked up wins as well in WIAC play, which is certainly significant. Whitewater beat Platteville on the road. Eau Claire beat Stevens Point. St. Vincent got past W&J. That's why that game was so big. And it's also, unfortunately, Bethany lost last night, or I think it would have been, if memory serves, it would have been a three-way tie on their side of things. Yes, it would have been a three-way tie. So Bethany just missing out on that. We'll talk to them about it. Hope and Hardin-Simmons had a tilt in Holland, Michigan, and Hope ended up winning that one 63-57. Laverne got just its second win of the conference season, getting past first-place Cal Lou. What in the world? Of course, Cal Lou shot 29% for the game and 421 from beyond the arc. And Aurora got a big win as well. That was just on the women's side. It was a tremendous night on the women's side. Men's side, the undefeated hope for MIAC in the MIAC, which hasn't happened in, I think it was 2008, 2009, St. Thomas for Gustavus Adolphus is over. Carrollton does it again. They knocked off a team late in the season. Gustavus specifically to end their hopes of an undefeated season. And Hood keeps their undefeated hope in the MAC, which has not happened since the MAC, Commonwealth, and Freedom formed. Like those were the names. They had other divisions further back, but since the MAC, Commonwealth, and Freedom formed their titles, the Commonwealth side has never seen an undefeated team. Hood is on the verge of doing that, and they needed a last-second shot and then avoid a further last-second shot last night to keep that alive. And let's see here. Medgar Evers got its first win of the season. Hats off to them. And Pat on his article was great. A number one team actually won. By the way, Hood finished on that game on an 11-0 run. Stevens Point lost in WIAC play to River Falls. Guilford beat Roanoke. Roanoke's maybe in a little bit of trouble now. Scranton got past Lycoming. I don't know what's going on with Scranton. And Catholic lost in men's basketball in the Landmark Conference. That conference is just, I don't know what to make of it. But Susquehanna men got the win over Catholic. Let's see. Trine needed overtime to get past Hope. I'm trying to find the other thing I was looking for, and I can't seem to find it. But lots of results. Obviously, go to d3hoops.com for more. I'm running a little bit late. We got to get going. We got to head to West Virginia, the only school in Division III that's in that state. Bethany Bison women's basketball, as we just mentioned, now a game back as St. Vincent and Washington Jefferson licking their wounds a little bit as they're coming off of a loss to Waynesburg by 11. They've got a bit of an interesting stretch ahead. Can they stay in this conference race? Well, Mikayla Lopez will join us to talk about it. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops from the WBCA studio. Back with more after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit nabc.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's nabc.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. For finishing up the tweet for the next segment. If you got questions for us, you can email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. We didn't talk about the socials. Of course, they're all at the bottom of the screen for you watching. Email us, as we mentioned, tweet at D3Hoopsville. Yeah, that's it. Or use the hashtag Hoopsville. You can also join us on Facebook and Instagram and all the other things. We're also on TikTok, believe it or not. What? Yeah, I know we're on TikTok. That's where we're putting out some of the videos. I don't remember the username for that, but look up Hoopsville. I'm sure it's going to be easy to find. And there you go. That's what you do. That's how you have it. And that's how you have fun with us. We will do our best to answer any questions that you may have. You can also join us on the live stream. Some people join us in the live chat to do that, and we'll do our best to answer questions. Maybe a little delayed, so bear with us. Women's basketball, that's where we're starting off today. We're heading to West Virginia. There aren't many teams in Division III in West Virginia. In fact, there's one. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe some more figure it out and find their way there. But when you're in West Virginia, you end up playing in the President's Athletic Conference because there's a lot of presidential names in that conference. But the Bison of Bethany are trying to keep up with a couple of them, like Washington and Jefferson. Tough loss last night, as we mentioned, to Waynesburg, but they are just a game back of St. Vincent and W&J in their side of the conference standings. It's a heck of a race for a program that is now 15-7. That equals the win record from a few years ago. They haven't been more than 15 wins in a number of seasons. This year might just do it. To talk about it, we head to the Hoopsville Hotline to have a nice conversation with their head coach. It's Mikayla Lopez. Coach, great to see you. How are you? Thanks for finding the time. I know it's a little bit of a bitter win, but appreciate it.
Of course. We're excited to be here and chatting with you.
Listen, this is, I said 15 wins was kind of the benchmark. You did it in 24. They did it in 22. They got to 15. You go all the way back to 09 and 08. That's it. This program hasn't really sniffed 15 wins more than 15 wins in quite some time. You're on the verge of doing that after a bit of a rough start to the year. You've got to be proud with how this program's kind of responded this year.
Absolutely. The girls knew it. We told them at the start of the season, our non-conference schedule was a tough one, and we did it on purpose. We wanted them to be battle tested and ready to see W&J and to see St. Vincent when we got to the pack and felt more prepared. So it definitely was a rocky start. Majority of our losses, we had the lead in the fourth quarter and just couldn't finish it. However, we figured it out and went on a nice little win streak, and so far are playing some pretty good basketball. So I am proud of the way that they responded to that adversity in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I played Marietta to start the year, lost that one, then beat La Roche, which is a solid win from the neighbor. Dickinson's a team that will get you into the mud and make it just a rough and tough game. You played that one down at in Atlanta, down in Emory, I think, and lost it, but then beat Randolph-Macon the next day. That sequence right there, I know you lost 3 after that, but that Randolph-Macon win feels like one of those that you can kind of use over time and go, hey, we are capable.
100%. You are spot on, right? We talk about it, and I'm going to give kudos to my assistant coach. He says it all the time. We don't want to be pack good. We want to be national good. So obviously that's not going to happen in 1-2 seasons, but that's the mindset that we try to approach. And we refer back to that game all the time. We talk with our team and say, that was the most physical, gritty Bethany basketball that we had played. And so we refer back to that often of saying, like, if we can match that level of physicality against the 12th team in the nation, we can compete with anybody on a national level.
Absolutely. Yeah, you did unfortunately go on a 3-game losing streak after that. And it is what it is. But again, Capital, Case Western, and then in conference against St. Vincent, who you're looking up at now. We'll talk about a little bit about St. Vincent in a bit. But then you got a bit of a break for exams. You had a couple more games before the holidays. You started getting the wins. You got a win over Chatham in conference. You got a win over Heidelberg. And then got that break and have been rolling since, except for a loss last night and a loss to W&J. This team responded around the holidays, and now it seems like it's working. So what is working? What is different from the start to now?
I would say the biggest thing is playing 4 quarters. We always talked about that we had to finish the game. For the most part, we really rely on our transition game, and our transition game has been our bread and butter to help us build the lead. In the fourth quarter, it was our decision making that just wasn't the best shot selections or unforced turnovers. And now I think our girls have really grown in developing their basketball IQ as far as situational awareness, time awareness. Do we really need to try to force this pass in there versus let's just value this possession and get a good bucket? So I think the girls really bought into the system and just started finishing shots we weren't hitting in the beginning of the season and missing free throws, and now they're hitting those shots. So the beginning really was just working out some of those kinks, and now they've stayed the course, stay together through adversity, and really focus on just putting 4 full quarters together.
Literally on New Year's Day, we got to talk about scheduling at some point, but on New Year's Day, you played St. Vincent and lost to them 62-57. I won't ask if it was a New Year's hangover because that's just too easy a question. But you did get them back at the end of the month on the 28th. You then went to St. Vincent and beat them 64-57. So you're sitting a game back in the standings, but that kind of result's got to give you confidence that A, no matter where you end up in the standings, you can play with the top of the conference, and B, you're that close away to having maybe been on top.
Yep, 100%, 100%. We know we are a top 3 team in this conference. Do we show it every single game that we step on the floor? No, and that's what we have to figure out. But we know we're a top 3 team. We know that we have the confidence to play with anybody. It's just a matter of us going out there and actually doing it.
Well, you've got another chance to do this. It's interesting. You lost the game at St. Vincent at home, beat them on the road. You lost to W&J at home, 64-50. Of course, against former Bethany head coach Gina DeRuba, which just cracks me up all the time. You will see them coming up next week on the road. I know you got to play Westminster before that, but you can now go to that St. Vincent and go, hey, we've done this. We can go play against W&J and beat them. St. Vincent beat them. We can beat them.
Yeah, for some reason, I think we're undefeated on the road in the pack, and our losses are at home.
You are right.
I don't know if we're just road warriors and we like getting in the bus and heading down to their places. But yeah, I'm confident. I'm excited for us. It's always a great battle between Gina and my squad. We always play W&J very, very well. And now there's a little bit more pressure on the line for seeding. So it should be a fun one, and I'm excited for us to go there and hopefully play to our potential.
Yeah, speaking of the road losses, interesting enough, you beat Waynesburg on the road, 82-71, I should say, the home losses. You played them last night. Exact same score. Flipped. Lost that game 82-71. I know you're in good spirits today, and I know it's about letting the team know it's just one loss. We can move on from this. But it also feels like a missed opportunity with St. Vincent beating W&J last night. This could have been a 3-way tie. Now you're sitting a game back. That W&J game looms even larger. Is it a little bit of frustration too? Or as you've been indicating, is this just part of the learning curve?
It is definitely frustrating. It is definitely a frustrating thing. I will give credit to Waynesburg. They shot the crap out of the ball last night. They were absolutely hooping. I knew our squad was not ready. I could feel the energy wasn't great. But you know what? You learn from it. And that's what we said too. I'd rather this loss come now than in playoffs. So let's learn from it right now and then get ready to go for playoffs. But it definitely made our path a little bit harder. However, we still like where we're at right now due to some tiebreakers and whatnot. You never know how it's going to end up.
Yeah, reboundings were similar. Turnover numbers were similar. You look at shooting, they're similar. You both hit the same number of shots. You took 3 more, so a couple percentage points down. But the difference was 3-point shooting. You both shot 40%. You shot 6 of 15. They shot 12 of 30.
Yep.
So that's obviously where the key was. Is that just a defensive thing, or is that just, as you said, they shot the lights out of the building?
I think it was both. We talked about it. I told them everybody's a shooter. You treat everybody as a shooter on Waynesburg. You got to close out with high hands. And there was probably 4 threes where our girls thought they closed out with high hands and they didn't. And they smacked them. And then they did have a couple of tough ones. So it was a little bit of both. I was pretty frustrated because I do know we are number 1 in the conference for defensive 3-point percentage. So it was a little frustrating that was kind of what our downfall was. However, our goal is to have 4 to 5 girls averaging double digits every single night. That's what we want. And we didn't get that last night. We didn't get contributions from everybody. Unfortunately, Lindsay kind of had to put the team on her back and take 32 points. And I'm a firm believer that you don't win games when somebody has to go have 30. You win games when 5 people can put 12 to 15 points. So we just didn't get a full contribution from everybody as much as we would have liked. But like we said, it's a great lesson for us to learn from.
Yeah, I mean, the one point that everybody knows is if you have multiple players who are scoring, you got to defend them all, versus if you're only relying on one, it's a little easier to defend. You point out some of the stats there. Blocks per game, by the way, you should point out you're 11th in the country at 5 blocks per contest. You talk about defensive 3-point shooting. Yeah, I mean, you're in the top 3. Obviously, the game last night changes that equation, right? Yeah. And top 60 in the country. I can't go back necessarily to look. at what it was. Oh, no, I can't. Hold on a second. Let's go game before. Oh, I forgot. NCAA's added some nice little things to their stats programs, which is wonderful. I just need it I think it updated. Yeah, about the same. I'm overreacting to numbers there. Yeah, let's talk about this team, because you talk about the contributions, trying to get everybody to play. You're somewhat young. You've got 3 seniors, a grad and 2 seniors, Carson, Dusenberry, and Potter. You got 3 juniors, and then it's a whole mess of sophomores and freshmen. You've been there since 22, so this is kind of now fully your team. Are you a little surprised you guys have gotten this young?
No, not really, just because we knew that we had to go and recruit girls that fit our scheme and what we were trying to and what we wanted to play. So the goal had been to bring in some large classes and these past underclassmen, just to help make sure that we had the depth, right? We want to play fast. We want to average 80 points per game. We're looking for a wide open 3 or a wide open layup and under the first 7 of the shot clock. So to be able to play that, you have to have some depth. So we did. We wanted to bring in a younger class. And then we knew with losing Lindsay pretty soon here, right? You're losing one of the all-time career leading scorers, somebody who's been big for us. So we really did look to have some freshmen and sophomores that can hopefully kind of step into that role.
Yeah, Lindsay Carson, first team all-conference last year, ranked first in the conference, 9th in Division III with 78 made 3-pointers 2 seasons ago. She's averaging 15 points a game, but to your point of wanting a number of double-digit options, she's a senior. Then there's Ella Simpson at 11.9 points a game as a sophomore, Kaylee Potter, who's a senior at 11.7, and Lindsay Best, a freshman, at 9.6. I'm rounding up to give that a double digit. They all rebound other than Garrison. I think Garrison needs to try harder. I'm kidding. But she's handing out 3rd highest, 4th highest assists. She's got steals. She shoots well. Everybody of that foursome shoots pretty well. Maybe like to see Lindsay go to the free throw line a little less often, but what is the key of that core? And then how does everybody else feed in?
Yeah, the thing that's great about that core group is anybody can go off any night. One night KK can go off and have 20 points. One night Lindsay can go off and have 30. Ella's been a big contribution and get for us. As soon as we moved her into the starting lineup, I think she's had double-digit points almost every single game. She's one of the most high IQ coachable players that I've had the pleasure of coaching. She just understands rotations on defense and decision-making on offense. So it's really been great to kind of have an upperclassman crew, and then Ella, who has that high IQ, and then everybody else recognizing what they need. So, for example, Kate, we call her our Dennis Rodman, right? Kate's not going out and averaging 15 points per game. She's not. But we know no matter what, Kate's going to at least take a charge. She's going to block a shot, and she's going to be our leading rebounder. But she knows, right, that shooting isn't necessarily her strength. If we're in transition, she's looking for Lindsay on the trail or looking for KK to post up. So I think that one thing that's really helped us is everybody's kind of understood their role more so this year, and then tried to help others thrive in their role and whatever that looks like.
It's interesting. I mean, you got to get it from everybody. You're also dealing with a group that isn't familiar with this territory, right? Like, so they're almost kind of dealing with multiple things. A double-digit win's not surprising. 15-12 2 years ago, 13-13 last year. But 12-8 in conference 2 years ago, 10-10 last year. So they are in a little bit of rarefied air. So you're trying to get them to buy in on the concepts while also understanding they're in a new environment, while then probably trying to tell them ignore all the peripheral, right? So you aren't overwhelmed by being in that rarefied air. That's got to be an interesting balancing match.
It is. We're pretty fortunate that we do have, for example, like KK is a transfer from Cumberland's NAIA, and when she was at that program, they went to the Final Four. So she has been around that competitive culture. She knows what it takes to win. Same thing with Ella. Ella's a transfer from Rio, who I couldn't tell you how many times they've won the conference championship back-to-back and compete on a national level. So same thing. So those two coming from some of those winning backgrounds and winning culture programs really helps us. But then, the rest of it's just been shaping their mindset and trying to get them to recognize what a cool opportunity they have right now. And the one thing I can appreciate about our squad is last night after the win, they owned it and they said, we went through the motions. We got comfortable with winning. We didn't practice hard. We didn't take it seriously. And now look at what happened. So I'm at least proud of that. They can hold themselves accountable and recognize that. So I think it is. It's just trying to find that mindset of staying together through the adversity, because you're right. We haven't been here before. So as long as we can stay together, I think we can overcome any problem.
What's the dynamic like in the sense that you talk about the recruiting? I look at the roster and you've got a good amount of size. Potter's 6 listed. Listed. By the way, I keep harping back to this. I think it's Navy men's basketball says size listed with shoes on, which I appreciated more than anybody could imagine. But Potter at 6'1", Bodie, a junior at 6 foot, Stone, a junior at 6 foot, Blazer, and I'm going to get Yasmin's last name wrong, so we're not Yasmin, I'm sorry, Gabby Park at 5'10", I skipped a line, and Jewel Hardison, a sophomore, 5'10", and a freshman in Nazarod at 6'1". I'm noticing a lot more depth or height coming into Division III in the depth charts. You clearly have that. Is that changing the mentality of what you're doing and how your team's coming together? And is some of it leading to this success?
I would hope so. Our approach from a recruiting standpoint is much like I'm sure any coaches, so they laugh at this, right? If we could put 5'10" girls on the floor, we're going to put 5'10" girls on the floor. So we really, really like the versatility. And that's one thing about like Kate and KK that we love is, yeah, they're 6 foot, but they're going to step out and they're going to shoot the 3 ball. And KK can bring the ball up for us. So we really, really look for the versatility, in our players, but the height definitely helps. It's funny because I am like 5'3". So everybody laughs that I wasn't going to mention. Right. And I want a tall team. So I just think it ends up creating mismatch nightmares down the road when you have that height, and especially when you have the height of people who can step out and extend their range. So I would say I'm a little bit more new school in that regard. I don't want to pound it into the paint. We don't want to play through the post. We want to play through 5 different people who can be versatile. Everybody can post up. Everybody can shoot the 3 ball.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention the height, but I did some digging. We'll get to that in a minute. 3 games ahead, 2 on the road, which seems great.
Yeah.
Against Westminster, WNJ, and then you'll finish at home against Franciscan. Westminster's on the other side of the PAC split. They're 8-14, 5-8. WNJ, we know, 16-6, 11-2, a game ahead of you with a win. And then Franciscan's at the bottom, 3-19, 0-13. Obviously, all 3 games are important. W&J takes the focus, and the 2 other opponents on paper don't look like they're a challenge. This feels like a trap for the end of the season. How do you keep them focused on understanding, yeah, W&J is important, but we can't overlook Westminster, and we most certainly can't be bummed or thrilled or whatever it is after W&J and forget about St. Franciscan?
Yeah, I think last night was our wake-up call. I think that was a reality check. And I use the quote all the time that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Naturally, I'm biased. I think we're the most talented team in the conference. But we got outworked last night. We absolutely did. And so I'm hoping that this will be our wake-up call for our crew. I actually think we're going to come in today and we're going to have a great practice, and their mindset is going to be different because, like I said, that was the reality check. So I actually have a lot of faith in our crew that they're going to come in with their mindset ready and focus and know that we need these next 3 games and nobody's going to give it to you, right? I told them the other day, we have a target on our back, right? And we love that. We want that target. That means there's pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. So I tell them all the time, let's go make some diamonds.
That's a very good point. As I said, I did some digging because I was fascinated with how you got from point A to point Z. Again, an Augustana grad, and you did some assistant coaching at both Buena Vista and Aurora, so you kind of stayed in the area, went a little northwest. But you're from Colorado, Highlands Ranch, Colorado, so somehow you end up at Rock Island, and now you're in West Virginia. I've heard of travel, Mikayla. I'm all for it. But this is a wild trip you're on. How did you get from point A to Z?
Yeah. So there's only one D3 in Colorado, which is Colorado College. So not a lot of options out there. Ended up going on a visit to Augustana, just loved the campus, fell in love with it and the location. So yeah, ended up going there for 4 years. Went home for 1 year to coach high school basketball back at my alma mater. And I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. This is not for me. I've got to be able to recruit my Right. Got to be able to recruit my own girls. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to end up back at Aurora and coached under Ryan Repsim. He was the coach of the year while I was there. So super fortunate. Still have a great relationship with him. And then for 1 month, I went to Buena Vista and was the assistant. And for 1 month while I was out there, Jen Windmiller, who was my assistant coach when I was in college at Augustana. So she was the assistant. Mark Beinborn was the head coach. She was actually the assistant at Bethany. And she called me and said, hey, me and the current head coach are going to be promoted to assistant AD and AD. We need to find somebody. Do you think you're ready to be a head coach? And I said, absolutely not, but let's try it. And here we are. So I was super fortunate. It was kind of one of those scenarios of who you know kind of helps build those relationships. But like you said early on, it's panned out. And I'm super fortunate that she trusted me and called me and brought me out here.
A couple of things. You're not going to be able to see this. I'm just going to show it on the screen for everybody. This is the Augustana page for your bio. And I went to the historical tab just for the giggles, and they didn't do you right on the pictures. Trust me, just go there, look at your historical. You'll wonder what in the world they were doing in cropping. It's just not right. But my question is at the top of the screen, and well, again, she can't see this, but we'll tell her. Scooter Lopez. Mikayla. I need to, I know I'm out of time, but I need to know. You went by Scooter Lopez. I want the story, the whole story, and nothing but the story.
I still do to some people. It's hilarious. So when I was really little, like 2 years old, my dad was the king of giving out nicknames.
Oh, that sounds like a 2-year-old nickname. Yes, Mikayla.
Right. I had a toy that was motorized, but instead of using the motor, I would just like scoot on my butt. And so Scooter's kind of where it came from there. And then growing up, there was always another Mikayla on the team. So it just was easier for me to keep the nickname. And then, I got recruited by Scooter. And when they announced me in the starting lineup, it was Scooter. And so like Jen, who's our AD now that knows me as that, will still call me that. And so some people still call me Scooter. I will say I have slowly tried to get rid of the nickname as I've gotten older. But
well, you can hate us now. We just threw it up on the lower screen, on the lower third. It's now Mikayla Scooter Lopez.
Perfect. My mom will love that.
Perfect. There it is. We have Stephen Zoe Goodson coming up later in the show. So I figure I just got to go with all the nicknames, and I've just thrown it up there. So it's now there in infinity or for perpetuity, and you can hate us later. Mikayla, great to chat with you. Thank you so much for the time. The story of how you got to Bethany is amazing, and I love it. It's obviously worked out. It's worked out for the program. It's worked out for Bethany, and I congratulate you. Good luck the rest of the way. Obviously, big games ahead, and obviously the conference tournament and trying to play for March. So I wish you all the luck as this program evolves. We have a tradition on the show. We always let give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those who may be tuned in?
Just appreciate the support. And my biggest thing is keep watching women's sports, no matter what level it is.
Preach. Absolutely agree with you. Love it myself. Congratulations yet again, Scooter. We appreciate your time. And we will look forward to catching up with you sometime down the road. I suspect this will not be our only conversation.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Take care, Mikayla. Mikayla Lopez joining us from Bethany again. They got 3 games left, 2 on the road against Westminster and W&J, then Franciscan. Legitimate chance to kind of muddy up that first place. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of that PAC plays out as well. Lots to talk about in a conference we probably haven't been giving enough attention to this season. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk more women's basketball. Instead of West Virginia, we'll go up to Maine. Almost dead center of Maine, Farmington. We'll talk to an interesting squad there in the NAC and how things may be changing coming up. You're listening to Hoopsville. Back with more after this.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com. The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% would go pro. That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract. No autographs. No private jets. No fan clubs. No Hall of Fame inductions. Instead, they will walk away with something much more valuable.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com. The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or
or NABC 1927 on social media.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% would go pro. That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract.
Cutting off the commercial there. I got chatting with our next guest and I lost track of time. Great conversation coming up in the middle of Maine. You've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us, Hoopsville at D3Sports.com. Join us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Hoopsville. We're on Threads. We're on all these things, trying to keep track of people. People are tweeting. We're getting some notifications on some things. We will try and answer any questions you have. By the way, if you direct message us on Twitter X, I'm warning you now, we're not really getting them. I have to go into a whole new system, whole other system to suddenly see them. I don't get alerts on them. So if you're going to message us, just flat out message us or email us. It's going to be a lot easier that way. All right, like I said, we're heading up to central Maine. I mean, literally almost as central as you can get that roads allow. Maine-Farmington women's basketball is having a tremendous season. In the battle for the NAC, kind of breaking out after a 12-14 campaign last year, 7-17 the year before, 2-23 the year before that. Well, they are 18-7 this year, 14-3 in conference play, and playing pretty darn good considering that growth. And now they and Maine Maritime sit atop the conference ahead of Hudson in the all battle for the state title. Joining
Hey, thank you, Dave. Great to see you too.
No one heard me there for a second because somehow I clicked on something wrong. You heard me, Nate, but nobody else did. Nate Carson here from Maine-Farmington. Again, you're literally like in the middle of the state. We'll talk more about that in terms of travel, but I want to start with how the program has evolved because you also have to recruit to the middle of the state. And so this has been kind of a build-in process type thing to get from that 2-23 to now where you are at 14-3. How's that evolution gone from your perspective?
It's been slow, but it's been very rewarding to watch. We do it with Maine kids. Some of those same kids who were 2-23 are, whatever we are now, 18-6. So, super rewarding to see the successes that they've had. And yeah, it's, we try to say to do it the right way. And that's, Maine kids. We're not very active in the transfer portal. So we're relying on, these past couple of years, we were relying on our new players to come in and have big production. And, as we start to mature a little bit, we can start to kind of stare eye to eye at the MMAs, Hussons of the world and go toe to toe with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, MMA has usually been pretty consistent in the conversation. They've got a unique recruiting opportunity. Husson's always been at the top there, and their recruiting strategy is head to Florida and try and pick up some things. So it's three different strategies kind of at play at the top of this conference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, both Maine Maritime and Hudson have a great, presence across the country. A lot of the MMA kids are, it's Florida, it's Maryland, it's I think Wyoming. So, I would love to pick Craig's brain about that, but it's It's a very niche industry too that they got kids going into. So, I don't imagine there's a ton of opportunity outside of the maritime academies of the country. And then Hassan, Kissy's been doing it for so long. She does such a good job and has so many relationships all over the place. I'm sure she just fields phone calls left and right. I think we got one for you. So, and yeah, I mean, Maine, I'll give Maine High School its flowers. There's D3 players everywhere across the state. I mean, everywhere. My assistant, Noah Carroll, he does a great job on the recruiting trail for us. He'll go, I am going to go watch this game tonight. And I'll be like, why? And I heard something about someone and I just want to go take a look at it. And he comes back and, gives a surprising report more often than not. I mean, Class C school, the smaller schools as well as the big ones. Like I said, talent everywhere.
Listen, I'm biased. Everyone knows I'm from Maine. I know the talent that's there. I mean, Ashley Marble is the zenith of that and what she did at Southern Maine from my hometown as a Class C player. By the way, Class C folks in Maine, A, B, C, D. It literally goes in size, A being the biggest, D being the smallest. Now, when I was there, it was Eastern and Western Maine. Now it's Northern and Southern Maine. We're not going to discuss how that is a horrible mistake. I joke. But, I mean, I've seen players on D1 programs. Like, it's not a surprise. And now I know Ryan Scott has jumped on board with the Maine's as good as Indiana conversation in terms of talent. And you're littered with Maine talent. You have one who's not. I'd love to know Haley Lynch's story about how she got out of Falmouth, Massachusetts, get to Farmington. But Winthrop, Clinton, Searsmont, Brunswick, Wells, Jay, Bradley, Nobleboro, South Thomaston, Manchester, Saco, Jay, Bridgeton, and a couple from Benton. You literally litter the state. So what's the hook? Obviously it's a state tuition. It's a good state school. I don't think people truly appreciate it. You're an alum, which is probably helping. But what's your hook to say, hey, yeah, come here. And by the way, we got good skiing?
Yeah, yeah, I don't let them ski till the season's over.
I didn't think so.
I can't even stand on those things. So I hold them back on that. But, you're right on the state tuition. It's a good education for a good price for sure. The biggest trick is getting them over here. I think because we're not right on 95 like a majority of the schools are. If you're not a skier, or if you're not more of an outdoors person, you're probably not going through Farmington. So getting kids on campus, getting them to see the campus, see how connected it is to the town. It's built right into the town. You think of Hassan, it's Hassan then Bangor, Thomas then Waterville, right? Castine's kind of the same way of it's, MMA is built right into Castine, but just the accessibility, all the off-campus housing as well as, what the town has to offer. And then, we try to get them in the summertime. We hide the winter stuff from them. So it's a little facade there, but no, getting them on campus and then, getting them around the kids is it. We got great kids in this program. We got great kids at this university. I tell virtually everyone who comes, like, there is not a lot of ego out here. It moves a little bit slower. People are, when I first got here, strangely nice to me, all just people I wouldn't meet. And, you're like, what do you want kind of thing? And then you just realize it's just kind of the tone of the town, tone of the campus. And it's a really easy place to be. So really just, getting that sold to the kids as well as, it's a good education, it's a good program. And, you're going to get out of here with, a low amount of student debt, and just trying to package that whole thing into, it's going to be a great experience. It's going to be worth your while.
We'll talk about this team specifically in just a moment. I am curious. You're an alum. What interested you in taking this job? And yeah, that's the basics of it. You were a community health major while there at Farmington, so it's not exactly a straight line to coaching.
No, certainly not. I graduated. I had, I've done construction my entire life. I work for a great construction outfit that's kept me for a long time. Graduated, had no idea what I wanted to do. I walked into Coach Meter's office at the time, who was my coach all 4 years, and asked, Coach, do you need any help next year? He was super grateful I was super grateful for him to take me on and learn from him and Coach Bessie, who's with me now. And then once I got into it, I was like, this is the next best thing to playing. This is something that I wouldn't be able to play until I'm 65, 70, but I could see myself doing this. And Coach Meter eventually retired, and one of my former teammates who graduated with me, Sam Wheel, got the job. He did a great job. Super proud of the work that he did with it. Just, Coach Meter being there for so long, there's always a little bit of not doubt, but just a little bit of question in the air. And Sam came in and handled it so well. And then another former alum, Jamie Bowden, who held this job first, stepped into the AD role. So this opened up, and I was fortunate to get it.
Hey, things work out in crazy ways, to say the least. And you've got a team that's kind of going some crazy ways, because I was going through this. You have a team that has 3 seniors on it, but you got to go a while on the stats to find them, and that's no disrespect to them. But you've got younger players who are leading the way, like Pingree, a sophomore, leading the team in scoring at 15 a game. Dow, a junior, 12 points a game. Mackey, 7.5 points a game. She's a junior. What is it about the makeup of this team that seems to be clicking so well right now with underclassmen?
Well, you mentioned the seniors. It's them. They have been here through the 2 and 100 season. They know what losing really looks like. The on-court production. I know they do. They deserve more. But the sacrifices that they've made to let this, these younger players come in and shine, and then the support that they give those players. Our locker room is great. Those girls are so good to each other. They see someone walk in with their head hanging from the day, they're quick to get over to them. And that starts with our seniors. That's Gracie, that's Ruby, that's Sarah. So, it is the leadership from there, the expectation from there, but also like they just take care of our chemistry. They take care of our camaraderie. And they've done so all season long, and if it goes the other way, right, if they do get, don't handle their situation as well as they have, we're just not as successful, just flat out. So very proud of those 3, have to start there with them. As you go down in more of like, what you'd call our on-court production, Jess is excellent. She does a lot of different things with the ball. Defensively, she's very versatile. Huge engine, and no ego on her. For all the rewards, all the recognition she gets, she's very quick to celebrate her teammates. She's very quick to pass to her teammates. And to continue on the way down, Pingree has made an incredible leap from her first year to this year. With the on-court production, with the points, her shooting's gone up. Athletically, she's gone up another level, and she's just if you watch her, she's just a gamer. She's trying to find the advantage to get the basket, and she knows what she does well. She gets to those spots or gets to those advantages really well. But also her maturity from year to year. She has handled her tough moments really well and has grown through that. And as much as that is the team, it's you have to give it to her as well. And with our, I could talk for 10 minutes about each of them, but and then all the way down, we have so much talent on this bench that we're just waiting for it to pop here or there. The Mackey girl, Melissa Mayo, Mikayla Emerson, those are excellent basketball players who have 20-point capabilities in them. It's just a matter of time.
Talk about this season a little bit. I think some people are going to look at it and try, or maybe not fully appreciate what you all are or what you could be, is probably the best way of saying it. You guys start the season 4-0, then you kind of hit a rough patch going 2-3 in 5 games. St. Joseph's, Maine, which obviously comes up in a lot of national conversations, beat you by 14. Thomas nipped you by 5. Southern Maine, who's obviously in the national conversation again, got you guys 73-42. Then you go back on another nice winning streak over between the breaks with the holiday. And then you had a tough 3-game stretch in conference play in January against Cobleskill and Husson, with Bates squeezed in there in non-conference play. The results are kind of mixed, right? So how do you build from that, knowing that you win this conference, you're in the NCAA tournament? and you've played some NCAA tournament quality teams, but at the same time, the focus is on the conference. Like, how are you balancing what this season has been for this program?
Yeah, I think our kids we've always been looking up to those programs. We've always been kind of, that's the bar, where now we're there, the Bates of the world, that's another level of Division III basketball for sure.
Yeah, it is.
But the St. Joe's, USM, and, speaking specifically about games, I think we still have a little bit of like shock and awe when we get out there. It's like, man, we're not quite supposed to be here yet. And then, I have some really proud moments of us at Hudson, or the start of the second semester, we go down to Maine-Maritime and win that game. I think if you asked all of our kids, they'd give you a half a yeah, like let's go do it, until I think right the second possession of that game, we realized, like, okay, like we can compete with this team. So really, it's growth, and it's just try to meet that standard or exceed that standard of the top of our conference, right? And then, yeah, St. Joe's is usually lead, somewhere around the top of the GNAC. USM is having, a historic career or historic season this year, and the NESCAC schools are the NESCAC schools, right? They're very well organized. They get great players. Coaches do a wonderful job. Ton of resources over there. So really, just trying to just keep building towards that, and looking what are we and how can we get to there, because it's not going to be the same as the way they do it, right? It's got to be what works for us. And we haven't talked about it, but our defense, we're a very physical defensive team. When we're playing well, we start the game physically, we set a tone with the opponents, with the officials, and we carry it the entire game. So as long as we don't feel, as the season's gone on, I felt as long as we don't feel overmatched in that sense, I think our kids feel like we're in any game, we can play with anybody.
And nationally, your stats are interesting. You're 24th in the nation in assists per game, 21st in bench points, top 50 in defensive field goal percentage. You're top 20 in total points scored. 27th in scoring defense and only allowing 52.5 points, almost top 30 in scoring margin. Steals per game, you're about top 30, top 20 in turnover margin, and top 15 in turnovers forced, to your point about the defense. But obviously there's that hump. So now it feels like this program, and with your underclassmen leading the way in terms of statistics, it feels like, okay, now we've gotten there. We've seen what that other side looks like. We don't need to be in shock and awe next season. And I know we're not talking next season necessarily, but this is a program that maybe is starting to feel more comfortable, and you're laying the groundwork that this isn't just going to be a little flash in the pan. You can start competing like the Hudsons and the rest of the world.
Yeah. We're a young team still. And we've gotten our freshman class is excellent. We got a couple girls who I think can really kind of take the keys at some point. We have a couple others who I think are just going to be, you just fit our mold of what we do, play fast, play physical. So yeah, not to, I don't want to be tooting our own horn, but I like the direction we're heading. And I think we're going to be, heading upwards or heading in the right direction for a few years to come at the very least.
Maine-Maritime on the docket for home for the season finale, and then it's conference play. We're talking at the beginning of this show about how conferences are about to start up these conference plays. You already beat them earlier in the season, so a win, you're a game behind them right now at 14-3 in conference play, but a win ties them, gives you the tiebreaker. Everybody's got to come through Farmington for the conference tournament. How do you address that with the team without making it too big?
Yeah, we have a saying here, this is the most important game of the season, and it's always the next game. It's just the next game is the most important one. Let's focus for that. I don't think I need to build how important this game is to them. I mean, this is the culmination of all the work that they've put into, right? If we get MMA at home, we host the entire way, and that in its own is its own achievement for them. They get to play in front of their families, in front of their student body and whatnot. So they understand the importance of it. It's just making sure that, my job is just making sure that we know what's important to us during that time, right? We have to be active and physical defensively. We have to execute offensively. You know, they play a great defense. They're very together as a defensive unit. So we, you know, need to find the seams in the gap and get our players who score in spots where they score it, and play from there. So really just, you know, the importance of it's there. It's just the focusing on what we do well to make sure that we get over that hump and take it.
Before I let you go, you mentioned earlier about, you know, working in construction all this time. We were talking off air, one of the reasons I got delayed getting into this, about how you do work in construction, and in a wild, small world, definitely Maine world experience, talking about the fact that you worked on the paper mill in my hometown of Woodland, Maine. But that gets me to this. You still work in construction. This is that true small college Division III story where coaching's great, but you got to do something else in the off season. It's not all about hoops. How do you balance those two?
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm lucky enough. This is a full-time position. I have, you know, this could certainly take care of things. But you know, the wife needs me out of the house more often than not during the summertime. So, you know, I gotta stay busy and bring in a little bit of bacon as well. But no, it's to your point about balancing it. I have a great coaching staff with me. Noah Carroll and Jim Bessie have done a wonderful job for this program. Noah just does so much that people don't see in terms of our media stuff. You know, he's our boots on the ground recruiting wise. You know, and he is just, I'll probably get a half dozen texts a day of him just like thinking of the next thing, you know. And so just his energy and his commitment to it is unmatched. He makes it a lot easier, you know, so much easier for me. And then Coach Bessie is, you know, as big of a basketball influence that I've ever had. So, you know, being able to speak candidly about, okay, like, you know, that set sucks, coach. Like, we probably shouldn't do that. Like, yep, I just needed someone else to say that to me, because I was thinking, you know, just the reassuredness that he gives me as well is huge to me. But the construction piece, again, I work for a great outfit. You know, they've been family friends for a long time now, so they do treat me really well. So I gotta give them their flowers as well.
It's a fascinating thing, a true Maine thing, if I do say so myself. We haven't seen you on Cabin Masters yet, have we?
No, it was a little bit more industrial.
Industrial, right? Dirtier, I mentioned paper mill.
Yeah.
Yeah, paper mill and cabins don't really go together.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it and the insight. Great to connect for the first time. One quick thing. Looks like conference is going to grow a little bit while shrinking at the same time. Augusta is now in the pipeline to join Division III. They're down the road where Cobleskill and Delhi, who are not at all down the road, are skipping town. You still got to go to Presque Isle, but you now have a chance to play some more Maine teams. That's got to be thrilling for you.
Certainly. Yeah. To exchange a 8.5-hour ride for a 40-minute ride is huge in of its own. You know,
you still got to go to Presque Isle, Nate.
We still got Presque Isle. We still got Presque Isle. But it's, you know, it's straight shot 95 and over to 1, you know, easy one to make. And, you know, I'm curious to see when I assume Augusta will come into the NAC once they gain their D3 status. And just, you know, what their coach does, Coach Cowan, and how that program grows from there.
Hey, well, listen, appreciate your time and enjoy the chat. Like I said, we have a tradition on the show. We always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Dave, thank you for having me. Want to thank all the folks here at UMF Athletics from top to bottom. Really, really great people in this department. Really easy to work with. A lot of fun to be around. I want to, you know, thank my wife for her patience this season. You know, it certainly wears on her. With 2 kids, and then just a good go Beavers to cap it off.
Perfectly said, Nate. Well done. Congratulations. Look forward to catching up with you down the road. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, Dave. Take care now.
Nate Carson joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Got a lot to unpack. By the way, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Maine Augusta was applying to Division III, and we also understood that Maine Fort Kent, which is further north than Presque Isle, was applying to D3. And then the membership minutes came out, and Augusta's the only one mentioned. We don't know what happened. We do know the Board of Trustees for Maine approved both of them applying Division III. We don't know why Fort Kent's not in the mix. Best I can tell, there wasn't an application. We don't know why. We've reached out to Fort Kent to see what happened. We haven't heard back. But Augusta's in the pipeline, and we'll be joining the NAC in short order. So at least some more Maine schools for that conference that ebbs and flows, but stays pretty consistent. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll head to Gettysburg. My friend Matt Hunter is probably going, where the heck has he been? We are so far behind. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com. We talk about the Bullets program under a new head coach atop the Centennial Conference when we come back.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us. All of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else, and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. As we continue to roll along, great conversation there with Nate Carson of Maine-Farmington. Again, we can recap it at the end. We thought Fort Kent was coming into Division III. Something has gone awry, and they aren't. We have reached out to multiple people to figure it out. We haven't heard back. If we learn more about what happened, we'll let you know. Fort Kent was in the mix, by the way, a number of years ago, but they were the 5th team to apply to Division III, and at the time, and maybe still now, Division III had a 4-team moratorium as to how many schools, I should say, could come into Division III. I don't know what happened this time because only 3 have been approved. St. Francis out of D1, Azuna out of D2, and now Augusta outside the NCAA coming in. We head down to my neck of the woods, Gettysburg, where many of you might know I am a broadcaster and occasional PA announcer as well for the Bullets basketball programs. Men's team had a little bit of a shuffle in the offseason, losing their head coach, B.J. Dunn, who took the MIT job. Nothing against B.J. He was applying for basically everything. So it opened up a coaching job in the middle of the season. And those are always, not middle of the season, middle of the summer. And those are always tough. You don't know who you're going to get to apply. Interesting enough, one person who applied was right down the street in York. It was Matt Hunter, and he ends up taking the job and admittedly taking over a program that was maybe a little in flux, had lost some seniors, taking on a new system with Matt. And if you look at the middle of the season, you could probably understand if the team was just a little bit frustrated. But man, they have figured it out in time for conference play. They now sit atop the Centennial Conference by a game on F&M, who they have beaten already. 2 games on Hopkins, Ursinus, and Swarthmore. Hopkins just got upset by McDaniel last night. What is going on with the Bullets, and how have they come together so well? Well, that's why we have a show. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline is the aforementioned Matt Hunter, who honestly we haven't talked to in quite some time, Matt. I remember talking to you earlier in your York days. It is great to see you. Someday I'm going to do this in person. But congratulations. Is this where you thought you could get this program in this first season?
I don't know if I had a thought, Dave. It was it's been such a whirlwind, kind of the mice on the wheel type of thing, you know, and the players have been absolutely fantastic, kind of handling the timing of everything, making it extremely unique. Where they kind of arrived here and were on campus for, 7 weeks or so with no head coach in place. And, they have kind of rolled with me, and we've learned each other, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, not only did the coach job open up over the summer, but nothing against Gettysburg. It took a while to really kind of finalize it. I couldn't believe I was still talking about the job opening during the soccer season. You got hired officially at the end of September. And it's interesting. You guys came in, you immediately had a battle in terms of a schedule because you had a gritty Wilson team in your opener. And then you took on Randolph-Macon in the second game and nearly got him with a buzzer beater that fell after the clock should have sounded. But you started 3-1 with another big win over Stockton in there. Then you went to Montclair, and that kind of was the precipice of things kind of derailing a little bit. You end up losing 4 in a row of 5 of 6 to Wilkes, Mary Washington, Wesleyan, Notre Dame, and Maryland, Montclair. In my opinion, good teams. Notre Dame's not as appreciated for as good as they really are. And you got to win over Salisbury. That is a stretch that I thought wheels are coming off. How did you guys regroup? Admittedly, you lost to York and Hopkins coming out of that too. With a win with Hudson squeezed in down in Roanoke. But again, this could derail everything. How did you guys regroup?
Yeah, we tried to keep our focus really, really small, and just kind of focus on what we had coming next. There's nothing we could do about any of those results. The schedule was what the schedule was. It was an awesome test, and we may not have gotten the result that everybody wants, but at the same time, we were kind of learning about ourselves and figuring out what worked and what didn't work, and just growing together as a group. And what we did have, when we got back to campus from Roanoke, because we kind of finally had some time to practice and be together. Everything slowed down a little bit. It was a whirlwind timing wise, right? Me arriving October 6th, Coach McGough getting here October 14th, fall break squeezed in between there, and then practice started. And not only was the level of opponent very challenging, but the games were fast and furious. So there was never any time to take a step back and do some real development for our team. It was always that we have to prepare for this next opponent. So that time from when we got back from Roanoke all the way through the Hopkins game, we had a lot of time together to practice, and work together and eat together and spend time together. And I think in hindsight, that was mighty important for our team and our progress this year. And once we got through those two crazy endings a week apart, we settled in.
And again, you had a schedule that featured Randolph-Macon, Stockton, Montclair, Wesleyan, Mary Washington, Johns Hopkins, and F&M in conference play. Oh, by the way, York. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so it wasn't exactly like this was an easy schedule. So 9 games, you lose 7 of them, and then you regroup. And you haven't lost since. You have guys are rolling through conference play with wins over Franklin and Marshall, where I thought you absolutely frustrated the heck out of them, took them out of what they do, and they do not play well from behind. You got a key win over Hopkins at their place after losing. And by the way, like it was like carbon copy games. You lose on a 1.5 seconds. You beat them at 1.8 seconds. And then you also avoided the pitfalls. The Muhlenbergs, the Dickinsons, your Sinuses, and the McDaniels in the conference. How is this? How is the locker room? Because it's got to be absolutely buzzing with energy.
Yeah, well, the locker room's gorgeous here, Dave.
Yeah, this is true.
That part, we're blessed to have tremendous facilities. But no, the guys have been awesome. I understand, like from the outside, it seems like we should have wavered, and maybe we should have gave in, and maybe we should have crumbled, but we didn't, And I told him when I first met him that there's no adversity coming in the season that we couldn't handle. They just handled an entire preseason by themselves, and we could use that adversity as our superpower, and a way as something that could really bring us together and strengthen us, or we could use it as an excuse. And the guys have really leaned into kind of that time they spent together and the connection that they formed and the leadership that developed. And that has allowed us to kind of weather the storm and then sure, right, the results changing is fun for everybody and has created a great buzz around what's going here on campus.
Also, what's interesting is it's the underclassmen who have really kind of stepped up in whatever you guys are doing. And it's obviously we know it's a different offense. It's a different defense than what BJ was doing. You've got great seniors. Nate Williams, though, has been banged up and has missed 9 of the games already this season. Aiden Mess has developed as he's been there. And folks, again, I know this team pretty well. And he's become, when he's not in foul trouble, he is a tough person to deal with inside. But Ray Zamlut Jr. is leading the team at 12.3 points a game. I'll admit, in watching Zamlut the last couple of years, I never thought he'd be a leading scorer candidate. Caleb Gillis is a freshman, while being a freshman at times, is second on the team at 11.5 points a game and mans that offense and defense. And then you've got Reese Kraft, who should have been at Swarthmore. That's a great story about how he got to Gettysburg as a freshman. Costa Radulovic as a sophomore. Lorenzo Carrera as a sophomore. Then you get to the other senior in Briscoe. Like this team has really embraced its youth.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, we're all freshmen, right? Like, so,
yeah, that's true.
They had to teach me how to get from the office to the locker room to the gym.
It's a bit of a
and we all had to adapt to new roles. No matter who was coaching the team this year, it was going to be dramatically different, right? With all the guys that graduated last year. This team was bound to be different and have to do things differently. So in a lot of ways, it was the perfect time for a coaching change because it was gonna have to be different. And then yes, all the returning players were stepping into new roles. Like you mentioned, Ray and Mal, those guys played less than 30 minutes total in league play last year. Ray played 30 minutes last night, and so it's completely different roles for the upperclassmen, completely different roles for the freshmen, making that normal change from high school to college. So, and completely different for me and for Coach McGough and for Coach Ray. So we were all just kind of thrown into this pot, and we've just leaned on each other and worked together and agreed not to get frustrated with each other. And we're just kind of day by day figuring out what's next.
Well, Josh Hurt, who hits the game winner against Hopkins, 8 games last season, played a total of 14 minutes. He's averaging 14 minutes a game now. He's now starting in place of Nate Williams, who's banged up to that point. Everybody's kind of jumped on board and handled it well. You've got a test ahead, obviously. Target's on your back. You're number 1 in the conference. Haverford's next. McDaniel, who just knocked off Hopkins. So you got 2 home games. And then, well, I'm pretty sure Nick Nashay's circled that last game of the regular season at their place to try and avenge the loss and make the standings interesting. How do you attack the final 3 here before conference play?
We're not worried about the final 3. We're just worried about the next one, and that was the commitment that we made to each other. And, we're playing 1-game seasons. So we prep 2 days and compete for a championship and again, try to keep the focus as small as possible, do things the way that we believe we need to do them in order to be successful, and just focus on that. So I'm not worried about anything past, practice this afternoon leading us into a competition on Saturday.
I noted in the win over F&M, again, I thought you took them out of their style of play, and they don't play necessarily well from behind. Got them frustrated. We all know maybe some things weren't handled well by others involved in that game, not you guys. And I thought the game against Hopkins, the way you all played, I don't think that would have happened in the past, even with all the talent. You've talked about everybody embracing new roles and all of that. Has there also been a mentality change that they're now more comfortable in those games maybe? Or is it because it's underclassmen, they don't know any better?
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of everything, Coach Dunn's a terrific coach. He did a great job. But we're very different people, and we approach things differently, on the floor, off the floor. And, so some of the philosophies are different. And I asked the guys to trust me, and to embrace what was going to be different. Because I believe that was what was going to make us successful this year and into the future as we try to build a championship level program. And again, they have been awesome with it, Dave. Like I cannot praise the players here enough for their willingness to adapt and change. And yes, play differently and really lean into the product that you see on the floor now. And we might have taken a little bit of a twisty and turny route to get here. But ultimately that's what it takes. No season is perfectly linear. And we're kind of figuring out what we need to do each game and trying to take away strengths as best we can.
Going back to the start of January, before you got into conference play, there was the game against York. You knew that game was on the schedule. You had helped book that game as head coach at York. I never asked you. I'm just kind of curious. What was the emotions like? Multiple reasons. Going back to York, it's 30 minutes, folks, to play the Spartans, a program that you recruited now with Jared Wagner, who you had coached as head coach, admittedly also shortly after the great Scott Geis had passed. What was the emotions of that game like? It was a heck of a game.
Yeah, it was one of the more emotional days lead up to that game. And for all the reasons you just mentioned and a couple more, so it was a day. And again, the players handled all that really well. Certainly not anything that we talked about. But we have some smart guys here, right? That's what makes them Gettysburg students, and so they knew. And we had a long chat when we got back that night about kind of what that meant to me, and what why it meant so much to me, and then again how we were going to build and what we wanted to do here, and that we kind of owed it to ourselves to pour as much emotion into each other as we possibly could, because that's what makes it meaningful. So it served as a wild day, but kind of a bookend, and maybe a book starter, and allowed us to have a little bit of closure, maybe, and then help the guys kind of see maybe a little bit more window into my soul and who I am and what I'm about. And so yes, it was a hard day, but in a lot of ways, I think it kind of sparked what everyone's watching now.
Yeah, it certainly started even if it was a defeat, it helped kind of get you guys rolling. Lost to Hopkins again in a buzzer beater at Goldfarb, and then rolled from there. By the way, I said 30 minutes York. Hanover's 30 minutes from Gettysburg. York's a little further away. Hanover's where all the great chips are from, and this is a horrible segue to ask, has anyone figured out if Josh Herr from Gettysburg is related to the Herr Chip Company?
I haven't heard that one yet, but I don't know too many of the stories, so
either do I.
But I think that one would have come up by now.
Or he's hiding it. We got to figure this out. It's too ironic. By the way, quick note: Salisbury grad, fun as PA announcer for the game to see you and Randolph-Macon's head coach Josh Merkel come together. I don't think you two played together, if memory serves, on the years. But you're still Salisbury alums. You're both in coaching, both with high-end programs in Division III in the Mid-Atlantic region. That's got to, I know you've seen them before at other games, but that had to be a nice moment.
Yes, it is pretty neat. We did not play together. He graduated and then I came in after that. But Josh helped me a lot as I was getting started. I stayed at his place down in West Virginia, working basketball camp with Coach Beeline, my first summer out of school. And he's certainly a guy I looked up to as a player when I was at Salisbury. And certainly if you can emulate anybody as a coach, or a program administrator at the Division III level, there's nobody that's done it better than him at Salisbury and obviously now at Randolph-Macon. So certainly enjoy the competitions, learn a lot of lessons on the floor, competing against his teams over the years. But yeah, he's always been great to me.
By the way, of course, too, you're captain of the Seagulls. When you were at York, you became also the head men's golf coach, which is, by the way, another reason you and Scott Geis probably got along famously. And you won a CAC conference title as head coach. I'm curious if you're even allowed, or Kaylee Bethany even wants to talk to you as the assistant on the women's team because her husband's the head coach of the Gettysburg golf team. Is that a little bit of friction there? They don't want your experience or anything to interfere?
No, they don't even know I can spell golf over here. So no, it's something that was part of the tradition and the position at York, and Coach Gamber did it for all those years. Oh,
yes.
And I was happy to serve in that role until the department was able to grow and expand and add women's golf. And so I'm happy to have played a part in the history of the York golf program, and again, coach some good players and some good kids, and passed it off to Coach Boslow, who was part of that championship team. So that was a cool part of all of it, but just kind of shows the growth of that department as well.
Yeah, it took over for Jeff Gamber, and you're right. That was part of that tradition. It was in a lot of schools. It's not an uncommon tradition whatsoever. Hey, Matt, I really appreciate the time. I know you guys have a lot ahead of you. I look forward to being there on Wednesday. Sorry, I can't make Saturday's game. But look forward to being there on Wednesday to see that you guys take on McDaniel. Good luck. As you probably remember, we always have a tradition on this show, though. We always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
No, I had forgotten that part. I was not prepared to say anything. So no, just thank you for the opportunity to be here and represent Gettysburg. Thanks for the work you do in our gym during the season, and for D3 hoops overall. So appreciate the platform for Gettysburg College and our basketball program today. And thanks for all you do to support the game overall. It's much appreciated.
Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it as well. Enjoy it. We'll look forward to catching up down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Matt Hunter joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Again, a team in the first 13 goes 5-8. Probably want to write them off, but they have won, I think, is it 9 straight, heading into the final 3 games of the regular season in sole position of the Centennial Conference. It's not over. It's obviously a lot ahead. But that's a great turnaround, shows that the program's figured it out. And listen, that young group, yeah, they lose Messi and they're going to lose Malachi Briscoe. I think those are going to be important losses, and Nate Williams. But they've got a heck of a grouping in there. And Kraft is a story we'll talk about sometime, I think, in the future. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll head to the 25th ranked Rhodes men's basketball team, talk to them about how things are rolling along down there in SAA country. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops from the WBCA Studios.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
I believe sportsmanship is a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game, but for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, and I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues. I know it's the NABC ad, but it's run already, and I'm just cutting it off because we're running behind. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville. Join us on the live chat on YouTube, where I missed Gage Suter earlier saying, Coach Carson! Nate Carson from Maine-Farmington on the show. I made the critical error of putting Maine-Farmington in the middle of the show, and it turns out Nate has been to my own town, knows the paper mill, all that. So we got a chatting on lost time. Then I had Matt Hunter, a program I know well because I work at Gettysburg, on next, which meant I derailed it even further, which means Rhodes been patiently waiting for a while. By this point, we should be wrapping the interview, and we're just getting started. But c'est la vie, here we are. Sometimes the shows go off of the rails on me. The Lynx men's basketball team's 18-3. That's a 5-game improvement in the win column over last year and a 10-game improvement in the loss column. Admittedly, season's not over. Last time they won 18 games was 23, but that's the only time they won 18 games since 2015 when they won 20. Much like conversations we've had with Bethany, conversation we've had with Maine-Farmington, it's about reemergence and getting back into the conversation and suddenly becoming a factor. And of course, in an augmented and changed SAA, almost the old SCAC, as it were, with Trinity entering the conversation, it's even more impressive that Trinity is in this situation. Let's be honest. A loss to Millsaps, which feels like an eon ago on January 3rd, losses to Chicago and WashU in St. Louis. That's it. Think about that for a second. Get that Millsaps win, and they're undefeated in conference play. And we're talking about a team who's probably much higher than 25th in the conference standings. What is going on at Rhodes? What's in the water? What's working so well? Why? What have we been missing? Well, we go to another coach, I should say, who's also got a nickname, but he's also maybe the best dressed man in Division III. It is Stephen Goodson joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about his Lynx. Coach, good to see you. Thanks for your patience. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. No better time to wait than for this show. I can assure you that.
Well, I appreciate that, but I assure you say that to all the shows.
No. This is the key one of all Division III basketball. You know that.
I appreciate that, Joe. I will send you a $5 later.
Starbucks, a Starbucks. Whatever.
Starbucks works. I'll send you a Starbucks card. Again, back to the point. This has been a tremendous season, 18-3, coming off a season that was 13-13, 11-16 the year before that. Your losses are 14 to Chicago. I can't do math fast enough. 16 against WashU and 11 to Millsap. So admittedly, losses where the games maybe got out of hand.
No doubt.
But everything else has been in control, and you got it back on Millsaps in a rather low-scoring affair, 57-55. Is this what you all expected for this season? Like,
yeah, you and I talked, I think 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When we were, and I said, I think we're about 2 years away.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And we were building then, and as you know, the ever-changing landscape of college basketball, you obviously with in and out transfers and whatnot, we knew if we could hold the nucleus together, we had something special brewing. And these guys have stayed together. Obviously, Phil Dotson, who's an incredible basketball player, did leave for a semester, tested the waters at a Division II. And one of the things that we talked about when he left was the door's always open at Rhodes. We want the best for you. And he tested the waters and decided this is where his real home was and wanted to get back here. And so we brought him back. And then obviously we added a transfer in Jackson Huxtable since you and I talked then. And so things we've taken advantage of the new landscape at the same time of holding, true to the old school style of recruiting and developing and having the 4-year guys. So to say, is it what we expected? Yeah, absolutely. I think every coach probably expects the best and always sees the best going into it. And that's one of the things we talked about.
Yeah, we did have that conversation. I don't think in that conversation, though, we knew at the time Trinity was coming to the conference.
Correct.
So
no doubt.
That, I think, is the fascinating part with this season. Trinity's gotten a lot of attention in the last few years for how good they are. And granted, coaching changed there, but they've still got the talent.
And Marwan's done a great job, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Marwan's done tremendous. They're 17-5, 9-2 in conference play and in a new conference, admittedly. But the win you guys got over them, 76-75, this last time out on the road after getting the 79-73 win at home, for me felt like the true stamp of authority. Like, yeah, no, we're here. So, 2 years ago happened, but some things changed since. And as you mentioned, Dotson came and went. By the way, Dotson, we all knew D2 wasn't going to work for you. I'm sorry, tongue in cheek. I'm a D3 guy, right?
That's right.
But am I making more of that than it really was? Like, am I making more of those Trinity wins? Am I making more of this conference results than it really is? What's the feeling in that office?
No, I mean, everyone knows how good Trinity is year in and year out. I mean, they're a top-notch basketball program, top-notch university. They do everything unbelievably well. And so, no, I mean, we knew it. We said that this conference got way better at in the Texas schools, right? And I think that to the credit of our athletic directors and our presidents and wanting to build a bigger footprint and have a more national recognized league, they knew what they had to do. And I don't think they're done. I mean, obviously Maryville's coming in, so our basketball, the competitiveness at our basketball level gets even better. I can't speak on other sports because I don't study it like that, but this conference is continually going to get harder and harder and more competitive. And we talk about this, talk to Raul, talk to Marwan, talk to other coaches in our league. We want to be a league that's known for more than one bid. And I love the fact that our athletic directors and our presidents have listened, and they're shaping this conference to be more than just an AQ.
What's interesting, and I know it predates you, is the SAA was formed because they wanted to get away from the trips to Texas. They didn't want as big a footprint.
Yep.
Now the presidents are going back to that. And don't get me wrong, I fully realize these decisions ebb and flow as new presidents come and go. So I fully understand how this can change, but it's a little ironic. But on that token, again, you're on top of this conference. This program is sitting in the top 40 of the NPI right now. I know that's not something you can feel comfortable with, but I don't, 2 years ago, obviously NPI wasn't really big a conversational point, but I don't think you and I would have been talking about this kind of situation in terms of comfortability. You still got games to play. We know that. But they're all at home, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. What's the conversation in the locker room? How are you? I know it's game by game, but how are you truly approaching the fact that you're now 18-3, 9-1 in conference play, got the win back over Millsaps, and are in fully the driver's seat of this conference?
Is this enough? Did you come this far to only come this far? Is this really enough? Is this is this all you wanted? Is it just to get here? And that's all I'm asking them every day. In practice, in film, in the weight room. Is this all you wanted? Is it enough? Or are you truly expecting more? And one of the things we talked about since I've been here, it's been a go-to phrase is expect more. Expect more out of yourself. Expect more out of the coaches. Expect more out of the athletic director, the president, your professors. Expect more out of everyone. But in turn, to get more, you have to put in more. And so we talk about that every day. Is it enough? Is this truly enough? I can honestly tell you, and maybe I shouldn't talk about this outside the locker room, but I'll tell you this. I still think most of the locker room feels disrespected to this point, that it took this long.
Sure.
And we know, like obviously the 14 and 16 point loss in St. Louis to two incredible teams. We know that if those games were just closer, maybe the recognition would have been a little bit sooner. However, we think we built a nice body of work that I think they were expecting a little sooner. And in turn, I'm glad that they're really hungry. And there's obviously been some tweets and posts that still so interestingly enough from our own conference office that didn't even get our name right yesterday. So there's a level of disrespect that continues to happen, right?
Autocorrect, man.
Yeah, and didn't even get our name right or list us first as we lead the league. And so I think our guys are very hungry. It's a situation where everyone knows that, the first time, and I don't know how long. I mean, you would be able to tell us top 25, but the question continually is going to be, is it enough? And I hope the answer is continually no. This is nowhere near enough.
I think the conference may have pulled the tweet. I went looking for it. Yeah, I think the loss to Millsaps also doesn't help. And here's what's interesting, because
especially at home, right? Like
right.
We know.
But I think that's what's fascinating is you lose by 11 to them. I then bring Connor on the show and say, look at you guys. Coming out of the gate, you got a big win over Rhodes. This is tremendous. And since then, they've won twice. They've lost 7 of 9. And it shows you that it's at any given point, this can come undone.
No doubt.
You guys have avoided that in whatever, was it 9 or 10 games since you've gone undefeated. A lot of them, last 5 and 7 of 9 have been on the road.
Yeah.
You're having to do this as road warriors. That's how have you kept that from wearing you all out?
Well, when the schedule changed, and it's not our conference office's fault at all. It was a situation of
gotta do what you gotta do.
The weather happened, right? So we had those crazy weather. So we were scheduled to be at home, but we had snow and ice coming this way. So the conference office came out with a plan to make sure everybody continually played and not having to play midweek games. So the change happened that we had to go on the road to Millsaps instead of playing them next weekend, which would have been next weekend. So we did a little research of our own. The best that we could find, now this may not be 100%, but the best that we could find, we are the only Division 1, 2, or 3 team in the country that had to play 5 straight conference games on the road. And so that was an interesting piece there. And now, obviously, I didn't do that research, so I want to put a disclaimer out there. If we're wrong on that, I'll get a hold of my staff.
No, but it's not common, so I could completely believe it.
And so, and the whole point was then when the schedule changed that week was we didn't care. Every game we approached the Trinity home game was, this is another conference game. We're gonna prepare. We're gonna do our same routine as we would if it were Millsaps or Sewanee or Center, whoever in our league. We're not going to put the greater the reward or the greater the challenge, the greater reward on anything. Because the challenge is daily for us. And so we went into each game. We didn't emphasize the 3 weeks on the road. We didn't do any of that. We just kept our routine and kept playing ball, kept talking about watching film exactly the same way we did on Tuesday, the previous Tuesday, and the same way on Wednesday we did the previous Wednesday. We did all the same routine without bringing it up. And that was stuff that I learned in the past. You know, I was a great believer in, you talked about the greater the challenge, the greater reward. I think that I learned that that's not how to approach it nowadays.
It makes, I mean, the great coaches evolve, right? The great coaches understand the differences. You now, though, have 4 games coming up at home. The idea being you and Trinity are walking away from this conference right now. Millsaps, as we said, kind of has fallen off. You've got Sewanee Center, Oglethorpe, Berry. You have a chance now to just lock it all up, throw away the key. Everybody's got to come through Memphis in the conference tournament. Let's do it. But, man, as I said to other coaches on other segments today, this is also that feeling where this can be the trap, right? Like this can be the undoing because, yeah, we're at home now. Oh, this is great. Oh, we're playing the bottom of the conference. How do you keep that from happening without sounding like a broken record at the same time?
Yeah, I'm going to sound like a broken record. The routine is not changing. Right?
Maybe the advantage is they don't know what a record sounds like.
Yeah, and so that's the truth. They couldn't even tell you what a 45 is. But at the end of the day, the routine stays the same. You know, obviously our routine this week. So I can honestly tell you, coming off of the 3rd straight week on the road, we had to adjust a little bit of the routine because they were exhausted, an extra day. You know, so our routine had to change just a little bit from what we call our full court days to our half court days. And so a little bit of the routine had to adjust, but for the most part, the routine stays the same. The approach is the same. And one of the things that I love, this team is unbelievable. And I was just talking to Tubby Smith about this morning. This team is such a game plan oriented team. Like I've never had a team that watches this much film because, you know, you can log in and see how much film they're watching or who's logged in and how much time on all the different huddles and synergies and all that. You can see it, right? This team watches an incredible amount of film on their own, and because they're so game plan oriented, and so am I as a coach. Obviously, we've been harping that for years that we are very game plan oriented now. All of our drills and our approach and everything that we do, we focus on us on Tuesdays and we build off the week from there. But these guys, they are not going to change their routine either. You know, I was looking at it this morning, the times and who's looked at the scouting report, the video report, and all that already. And the whole team, every single person has already watched the entire video scout. And so that just kind of gives you an idea that I do feel like that we do have to do our job as coaches to keep them locked in. Like, don't let up just because you're at home. Like there's no, you can't put your guard down at this point. The target is bigger. We know that. There's a huge target on our back now. And so we have to come with it even more. And now to be the hunted is where you want to be. But can you handle that pressure? So we got to keep that on.
Looking at your team, and we mentioned Phil Dotson. He's one of 5 guys in double figures at 20 points a game. Jackson Huxtable, not related to the 1980s famous cup family, just for the record, 16 points a game. He probably doesn't even know that reference. Yeah, Lombard at 11 points a game. Maddox at 10.5, 11. Jones at 10. No one really stands out in rebounding. This is what stood out to me. Jones gets 6.5. You've got a couple of guys at 5. You're still out rebounding your opponents, but it's not like someone's averaging a double-double or averaging a near double-double. There's a lot of stats that can tell you about the team game, like defensive three-point shooting is 295, that tell me this is really about a full unit.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's not a single person. It's awesome. You know, Jackson, he came to me the other day. This was literally last week, and he said, Coach, we were just talking about some of the accolades that we're hoping for. As a coach, you want to, I think it's important in today's world. You talk about the team accolades, and you talk about their individual accolades and how to build. And he said, Coach, I don't even want to talk about what might be in it for me. I really don't care. He was at Stetson. He won a conference tournament and got to go to the NCAA tournament, and they played UConn, and he got that experience. He's like, I just want these guys that I love to have that experience and to be a part of leading that team, not just as a part of it from the end of the bench. And so these guys are doing it as a whole. There's you see our assist numbers, our assists are way up. There is a very unselfish group, and they really do. And I would love for people to have an opportunity to sit in that locker room. And by the way, the best locker room in all of Division III, I'd like to add. It's for anybody, for any high schoolers listening.
You weren't listening to the previous segment when Matt Hunter said something similar, were you?
Yeah, I wasn't. So
That's weird.
Maybe we could put this in a bracket and put a couple videos up. But I would love for people to get a chance to sit in that locker room and see them interact and hang out and see how close they really are. And the captain's coming to me a few weeks ago and telling me that Monday Night Raw is in town and they want to do a team bonding experience at Monday Night Raw at the FedEx Forum in a couple of weeks. And they do love hanging out with each other. And that's, I think, is one of the keys to why this team doesn't care about who's getting the shine. They just want the team to win.
Now we need to go find the Raw episode, see if we can spot the team on any of the camera shots.
Next Monday. Next Monday.
Okay. Mental note. We'll go look for the links on WWE. Part of the reason you say it was 2 years later, though, is because this is a senior dominant team. There's 7 seniors, 6 of them are playing. And then you got a lot of juniors and not a lot of sophomores and freshmen. Does that put a little bit of pressure, though, on doing it, on getting it done this year, because you have so many guys who've contributed to this program who will not be here next year?
Absolutely. I mean, there's always a pressure as a coach. And I was saying this, that when you're trying to build it, there's pressure to get there, right? And as coaches, we put so much pressure on ourselves. And when it's rolling, you're trying to keep it rolling. And for these seniors that have put so much into this, and these seniors that trusted in us when we weren't very good, right? 4 years ago, I mean, they came into a program that before I got here was 5-21 the previous 2 years. And then my first full season, we were only 10-15. And so we were trying to build all of that. And they trusted us at a time that we were maybe selling a dream, and they stuck with us. They didn't, we had their freshman year, we were pretty good, 18-6 or 7 or whatever it was, and we didn't even get out of the semifinals that year. And then the next year, we knew we were bringing in a lot of young guys. We knew we were going to be freshman and sophomore driven. And I think that was the year you and I talked. And in fact, we met out in Vegas that year. And I said, give it time. Let's let these guys get older. Because if this group stays together, they're going to do something special. And they've done that. So, yeah, of course, there's pressure. But I can assure you that the pressure that we put on ourselves as coaches, we do it every year in and year out. So it's but at the same time, we're going to utilize the portal to build that sophomore class back up, get some more older guys in for that junior class next year.
Certainly. Makes sense. Makes a whole lot of sense. Couple of things I'm curious about from your perspective. First off, we had Mikayla Lopez on the show earlier from Bethany, and I found out in the interview that her nickname that she used to go by on her own roster was Scooter. You are more than proud to go by Zoe. We just put Steven on the graphic to make sure everybody understood. We do know what your first name was. I'm curious where Zoe came from, because there's nothing in Steven or Goodson that gets me to Zoe.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me what's my middle name to see if that's what gets it there. And
right.
That doesn't help either. So I was 18 years old, went to University of Kentucky as a student manager for Tubby Smith, and
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. There's just a national champion.
Never been in an elevator with him either.
Oh yeah, good.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Final Four in Atlanta. That was fascinating.
Okay, what year?
2013, when D3 was there. I was in an elevator with him at the hotel, and when the doors opened on the ground level, they weren't clamoring to talk to me.
He's the best, and I'm sure the conversation, the whole elevator ride was, he's just a person that cares about people. Genuinely.
Yeah, it was very nice, very nice.
So, but we're playing pickup that summer, and he and I were on opposite teams, and I'm 18 and I'm thinking, man, I get a chance to play pickup in front of Tubby Smith. I'm here at Kentucky. I'm going to go hard, right? and bunch of short guys. So I was playing in the post a little bit that game, and I decided to post Coach Smith up. And I caught him with an elbow, and he did not like it at all. And then the next trip, he's like just pushing and shoving, and he's trying to get me back. So we went back and forth the whole game. And then I started talking a little trash because my team was winning. You know, it was like our pickup games with the coaches and managers and everybody and some other folks on the outside. They were competitive. I mean, there was blood drawn. There was balls thrown at people's faces. I mean, they were good games, man. I mean, there were charges taken, and so Coach Smith is like, man, who the hell do you think you are? Like, he'd just come off the Olympic. He was the assistant coach for Coach Brown in the Olympics.
Right, yeah.
And so he was coming off that, and he had spent a lot of time with Alonzo Mourning. And during that time, he's like, who the hell you think you are, Alonzo Mourning? So then the next game, Coach Smith, of course, runs the pickup. So he's like, man, you're on my team. Like, you're on my team now. So the whole time, coaches run a point. He's like, get in the post. Like, just go at him. And so then, of course, now I've got Tubby Smith gassing me up. So what do I start doing? I just start talking more, right? I'm going, and as people get to know me, they know I like to talk a little trash. And so
this is a recipe for disaster.
And then the next day, he's like, where's Zoe? So he just started calling me Zoe. He didn't, I don't even, honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't think he really knew my first name.
No, he probably didn't. No.
And you know, and so it was this easy. So we went to play pickup again, and he picked Zoe. And so from that point on, the players, everybody really truly thought my name was Zoe because they're hearing the top dog call me Zoe.
Oh, wow.
And it stuck. I mean, it stuck to a point to where people had to ask what my real first name was for many years. You know, I worked for Jay Wright at USA Basketball. To this day, if you said Steven Goodson, he's going to say, who? If you say Zoe Goodson, he's going, oh, yeah, he worked with me at USA Basketball. And so it's just funny that it has stuck. And hey, it's a great nickname, great story. I roll with it.
Well, I'm helping everybody understand what your first name is on the graphic. Works out real nice.
My parents appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. All of that leads me to the next question. I mean, your entire resume is littered with D1. It's Kentucky as a student manager. It's Team USA with Tubby. It's Texas Tech. It's High Point. It's University of Memphis. Like, I get taking the job at Rhodes to some degree, but I also am curious about it. Like, what led you to D3? What led you to Rhodes? And I realize I'm saying this only 5.5 years later, and I could eat my words later. Why does it seem like this is where you'd like being?
Yeah, of course. So the question is, as a coach, to answer the first part of the question, as a coach, I think for any of us, when we get into this business, like, look, I didn't have the direct path. You know, I was coming from a small town in Indiana. I came from, my dad was a high school and middle school coach. We didn't, like, there was no grand, easy entry into this college coaching world. And so I just wanted to get into college somehow. So I was like, let's go be a student manager. I wasn't a good enough player. I got all that. And so I took that approach. So coming into this, I didn't have this expectation that I was going to be the next coach at Kentucky or anything like that. I want to be a college basketball coach. That's what I want to be. And so, and I knew that I wanted to coach at the NCAA level. And so through my career, I applied for jobs and interviewed at Division II and Division III jobs. And I never saw myself as, you know, this guy was only going to take a D1 job or work. I wanted to be a head coach at a collegiate level. So when Rhodes called me while I was at High Point and they said, hey, we have an opening. Would you be interested? Your Matt Dean at the time was the AD, and he said, you're my main focus. You know, obviously Matt Dean is the first cousin of Tom Bowen, who was the AD at University of Memphis at the time. And there was a direct connection there. And so, and I knew that Coach Smith was maybe winding down the career a little bit on the back end and maybe going to retire soon. So we still had our house here in Memphis, Kelly and I. And so there was a lot. And I knew that Rhodes had this tradition from the 90s and in a pocket in the 2000s that was really good. I just felt like it was a job that we could get back on track. We're right here in a great basketball city, in a great area to recruit from regionally, but also I knew Rhodes had a nationally known name that we could piggyback on, and we did. And so why Division III? It wasn't about I want to be a college basketball coach. And every, the funny thing is that everyone tried to act like I was going to come in here and be 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 and lead. And I think you asked me that a couple years ago. And I assured you, and I'll tell you and everyone else, like I told Matt Dean and Jim Duncan, who was on that committee then, who is now our athletic director. I had zero plans to go anywhere until we got this ship turned around the right way. And I had zero desire to go searching for anything. What we're building here, I wanted to build for the long haul. I really did. So I had no desire to go just job hopping. I really didn't. Kelly and I love it here in the city. We love how the city has now embraced Rhodes College and what we're doing here. And I've had the fortunate of having a great staff every year that I've been here, from Pat McGraw, sticking with me, going from one coach to the next. And now he's top assistant at Wash U, and to my staff now, and Scott Robinson being my associate head coach. I've had a lot of fortune of a lot of really great people around me. And, Kim House, who now is our deputy athletic director, who is very involved with our program along with Jim. We have a lot of great things going. So there's no reason to go searching for anything else. And we're trying to build something that is sustainable for the long haul. And it takes a lot of time to do that.
What an amazing answer. Appreciate that insight. Mentioned Matt Dean, quick note. He's back being the women's basketball assistant. Can't get the basketball out of him. You probably got to know Brian Lane at Transylvania during your time in Kentucky as well, right?
Of course. Yep. No, Coach Lane.
So you got maybe a taste of D3 during that time. I remember being introduced to your offices, by the way, by Brian Lane one day. We just walked right into the Kentucky offices.
Yep.
So again, I guess the evolutionary question becomes, what's next for this program and for you as leading the program? Obviously it's NCAA tournament, I think, in conference title, right? Is that the obvious answer?
The answer is let's focus on tomorrow and not have what you talked about happen.
That's
right?
boring.
I get it. It is. And what's boring is the routine to be successful is so boring and mundane.
Oh, fair,
we talked about that all year. This is the boring part, right? Can you focus on tomorrow and not let what you talked about earlier happen? The slippage at home, right? We've already let it happen January 3rd. We talk about January 3rd a lot in this program. We talked about it at halftime at Southwestern. Are you going to let what happened on January 3rd happen again? Which is, all due respect to Millsaps and what Connor is building there, we felt like we did not play our best basketball that day.
Oh, and fair.
We saw that there were some things that we let slip in that day. Without making excuses, we didn't have Sean Jones that day. And Phil Dotson had a Liz Frank spraying 30 seconds into that game. And he should not have. He fought. He stood up. I'm going to tell you the truth. Let me tell you the competitor he is. 30 seconds into the game, 28 seconds to be exact. Guy rolls up on his foot. Liz Frank spray. He refuses to take himself out of the game. Refuses to tell us how bad it's hurting because he's a competitor. He wanted to be on that court. And that's why he missed the next 5 games. That's why he missed all those games, right? And so, but he fought and he did all those reacts. So we had to make some adjustments, but we can't have we have to focus on one at a time so we don't have that letdown. And I hope that our players stay hungry, and I hope they keep seeing some and they feel disrespect. I hope they stay feeling disrespected, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that sprain involves a dislocation, man. That is no joke.
Yeah, it's amazing that he's back. Right?
Yeah.
At the level and to have 27 or whatever it was at Trinity, it tells you how tough he is.
Oh, I've had a lot of sprained ankles in my day. Thankfully, never had to deal with that. That one makes me cringe. So I could talk to you forever, and we've taken a lot of your time while I was also late. So I'll let you go at this point. But Listen, fascinating. Really great stories. Congratulations to you guys. I can understand the chip on your shoulder, but use it, right? Take advantage of it. Run with it. I've had you in my top 25 for a few weeks, and to be honest, without talking to you, maybe a little haphazard about it, but I understand your team better now, and I understand what's driving you, and I'm fascinated to see how this season concludes. Obviously, you'd love to be playing as many home games as possible. Put in your paperwork to host. You never know. I'm just saying now, you just never know. We might need a host in that part of the country.
We're hitting that submit button today.
There you go. Perfect. Ahead of the deadline, which is in 8 days. I don't know if you remember how well, because we haven't had you on the show, but we always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share? Those tuned in, maybe that we didn't cover.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched, I think if you enjoy a good hard-nosed style of basketball, the SAA is created this tough Big Ten-ish style over the years, and it is a tough, hard-nosed style that we have the perfect mix, I think, of up-tempo offense with some tough defense, and it's a physical, war-like game every day in the SAA. And then I don't want to make it about us. I would love to make it about our conference and to continue watching our conference grow. I think that our conference coaches are doing an incredible job. I could go on and on about it. You know, Barry got a win in the NCAA tournament last year. Matt's doing an incredible job there. Our conference is growing quickly, and if you get a chance, don't worry about just checking us out. Check out the SAA, because we're growing, and I hope that we continue to grow. And with Maryville coming to the league, it's going to.
Yeah, that win over Guilford was pretty impressive in the opening round down at Emory. Certainly a tip of the hat to them, and a tip of the hat to you, Zoe. I appreciate your time, appreciate your candor, appreciate the insight.
Appreciate it.
You enjoy it, yeah, I know we'll catch up down the road, so I'll leave you on. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I really
Absolutely.
do appreciate
Zoe Goodson joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Yeah, maybe we are overlooking Rhodes. 4 games left at home. Sewanee Center, Oglethorpe, Barry, then SAA tournament play. Obviously, we talk about finishing strong. That's their goal, but they've got a lot more to write. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll put a button on this show. Hope you've been enjoying it. We've had some great conversations. A little bit of business when we come back. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops from the WBCA Studios.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Hoops. A reminder, coming up February 19th, 7 p.m. Eastern will be our Top 16 show. Yeah, we're not going to do some grand reveal since we all know through NPI numbers who that Top 16 are. However, we'll still talk about them. We will talk a lot about who's possibly in danger of falling out of the top 4, top 8, or 16, which have huge implications when it comes to bracketing, especially on the men's side with a different bracketing style this year. And we'll have the National Committee's chairs in an exclusive conversation. If you got questions for them, email us, Hoopsville at d3sports.com. That's Hoopsville at d3sports.com. We'll try and get as many of your questions asked in that segment. We're going to learn more about how the bracketing process works. We're going to learn more about the what I call the tick-tock between a team knowing they're in the NCAA tournament and playing in that first game. All ahead, plus Matt Snyder and Scott Peterson will dive into some of the games to watch, some of the bid thieves to watch out for, et cetera, in the final 10 days. But that's coming up on February 19th at 7 p.m. And we are planning to do an earlier show that day at this point because there's so many great programs to talk to. What a show today. From Mikayla Lopez at Bethany, Nate Carson at Maine-Farmington, Matt Hunter at Gettysburg, and Zoe Goodson at Rhodes. Outstanding conversations. And it is easy, folks, to only talk to the teams that are at the top of Division III. It is cake to do that. It is the easiest thing in the world to go and contact an NYU, to contact a CCIW or WIAC or ODAC or whomever school on the men's and women's side and say, can I have you on the show? I'd like to talk to you. It's easy to talk to them multiple times in a year. That has never been the point of this show. The point of this show has always been we will talk to them once. I don't want to get into a habit of repeating. If that means the preseason number one guests never get on the show the rest of the season, so be it, because it opens up the door for a Bethany, a Farmington, a Gettysburg, a Rhodes, whomever we've had on the show, and we get these conversations. And this is what is so awesome. It's why next Thursday I'm probably going to do a noon show followed up by the 7 p.m. show, because I want to talk to all these programs. There are so many. I have a list of all the programs I'm keeping an eye on and who I want to talk to. It's not getting shorter. It's not. And so thanks to all the guests that we come on, thanks to all the sports information directors that pull this together for us and help us get it on the air. It's thanks to my family that just sees me sitting on a laptop doing work almost 24/7. And thank you to all of you. And it is shameless, but we're done being caring about it. Buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. I know it seems strange, but help us with memberships. We are going to provide more content. We want to do more for this division, but I'm being honest with you. There are costs associated with the quality of work I want to produce for Division III. We do not make money on this show. Do not get me wrong. But if I can pay the electric bill, if I can pay the gas bill, if I can pay the charges to update the computer, if we can maybe move to a new system where we're not using Zoom, believe it or not, there's other systems out there, might give us a more polished look, even though I think we give a pretty good look. It costs money. And so your help with that helps. WBCA has come up huge this year in supporting us. Unfortunately, other relationships have fallen to the side for now. we continue to work. So if you have an idea for a sponsorship or an advertiser, contact me. I'm willing to talk to anybody about being on this program to help us offset the cost. But for you, help us. Buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. There's the donations. If you're asked how many coffees you want to buy me, that's a donation. You can make it monthly if you want. But if you go below that, there's the membership. Sign up for Role Player or higher, and you get access to the Top 25 ballot. You get access to the Top 25 Double Take Show live and early access to the archive. We will turn that around for public here this week's show here in a day. I had a couple of moments where I sound really smart in that show. For example, I had stated that McDaniel women's basketball had the potential to really cause problems for Johns Hopkins women's basketball. Guess what nearly happened last night? And I don't mean nearly as in, oh, I'll just hedge my bets. No, nearly happened last night. Hopkins nearly lost last night. So those programs, with your help, I appreciate it. Sign on up. Great stories today. Absolutely awesome stories, which is why the show ran so darn long. Ryan Scott says, I'm watching Hoopsville right now. Got some info that if you scan the crowd on WWE Monday Night Raw in 4 days, you might see Rhodes Lynx men's basketball players in the stands. I think it'll be on Netflix, right? You are correct, Ryan. It'll be on Netflix. And I'm going to scan it. Heck yeah. I want to see if maybe they get lucky enough to be front row. That's outstanding. Talk about a team bonding opportunity. They're going to go see a WWE show in Memphis. Just really cool. Jeff Brightwell promoting the fact that Zoe's on the show. 2 nicknames today, by the way. Mikayla Lopez. I'm not going to be able to go any longer without we're just going to call her Scooter from now on. Nate Carson says he doesn't have a nickname. I don't believe Matt Hunter has one. I mean, we got a name like Matt Hunter. You don't need a nickname. But Rhodes, Zoe, I mean, talk about how you got your nickname. Because most likely Tubby Smith does not know your name, but he thinks of Alonzo Mourning when he plays you. Oh, stop the press. Absolutely outstanding. Great show today. And again, if you want to send us swag, if you want to send us a jersey, if you want to send us something for me to wear, swag being items that we can put on our shelves, me with something to wear, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. We will get you all the information you need to make that happen. And then we will put videos together like the one we sent out earlier today from Mount Union, which a very emotional jersey for me. And then I realized after I shot it, it was the darn national championship jersey. That will get hung in some special place. It feels like we got to frame it like center in Ohio Wesleyan and the Greenville one, which we didn't. By the way, Greenville's coach, quick story. So Greenville's coach comes to the Final Four almost every year for years. I don't know if he's still doing it, to be completely honest. Love him to death. What a great guy. But I mean, he's slightly, George Barber's a little off his rocker. He went to the system. It's not working this year. They're 9-13. But anyway, he shows up a bunch of years ago when the Final Four was still in Salem. And first off, kind donation to the show, very kind. And then he hands me this thing, and it's a Greenville framed jersey. Thank goodness I drove. So we put that in the car. So that's why Greenville's jersey is framed. Now, George, all due respect, we may have to move it because I got to get more jerseys into the show and so are onto the studio. So we may have to move Greenville's temporarily, find a new home, not sure, so we can hang up some jerseys right there along the wall. And then I've been saying this for a while, this other wall with all the jerseys, I have got a system that's going to allow us to put more on, tighten it up, get some more jerseys. The problem is we need hangers. You might notice on some of these jerseys, these cool hangers. They're called jersey somethings. They're in our Amazon wish list, which is on the show page. They're $30 a pop, $80 for 3 of them. If you'd like to donate, that's another way you can do it. Send us jersey hangers. Some coaches, God bless you, have sent us regular hangers. We will try and take advantage of these as well in some way. I haven't figured out how yet, but the jersey hangers that we get allow these hangers or these jerseys to really be showcased well. We've run out. And so to get more new jerseys on the wall, I have to take the jerseys off these hangers. And admittedly, sometimes I'm getting a little lazy. So anyway, huge spiel there. Lots to talk about. Great show today. We'll be back on the air Monday, noon Eastern. We have more packages to unpack and videos to show you. We put out 3, I think, so far this week. We have more. And by the way, some of them have sent thank you notes. Merchant Marine sent a thank you note. Thank you very much. I love these. By the way, I got to get some of these. Vassar sent some. If anybody knows how I can get this type of thank you note for Hoopsville, I would send more thank you notes. I'm horrible at sending thank you notes. And then Hood, I love this one. This is an 2002 MAC Champions postcard with a thank you note on it. So we love getting these thank you notes. I shamelessly hold on to them, which is probably an issue, but I digress. Again, Monday, noon Eastern, we'll be back on the air. Next Thursday is our top 16 show at 7 p.m., and we're at this point planning a noon show. I reserve the right to cancel that noon show, to be completely honest. I reserve the right. If you are a program who is in the Southeast especially, who most likely could make the NCAA tournament, put in a bid to host. I don't care if you think there's no chance in hell you'll get hosting, put in your paperwork to host. The women, especially in the opening weekend, are going to be needing teams to host. Put your paperwork in. Put your paperwork in. Put your paperwork in. Put your paperwork in. Who knows who might have to host in this country in the Division III tournaments, depending on who's in the brackets. Put your paperwork in. You've got 8 days. The deadline is the 20th. Yada, yada. Send it. Congratulations, by the way, to Wisconsin Superior Women's Basketball. Just saw a tweet pointing out that they've clinched their berth to the UMAC Women's Basketball Tournament. Already working on Monday's show. We'll see what kind of guests we can get on the air. But if you got guest ideas and you think we've missed somebody, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. I have not been paying it a live stream very much. I apologize, but not many people commenting today. We usually have a friend. We had a couple people ask us why we aren't talking NPI in the top 25, because the top 25 is the top 25 show. We'll talk NPI a lot in the next few shows, but especially be talking about it on that top 16 show. I think that's it. I don't have any 2 cents this week. I know there's been a lot of talk. ASC has announced those 4 schools. Apparently one of them was against it, about joining Flow. There's been a ton of talk on socials about that. I'll say this much. There are some on socials who are ill-informed. Think they're informed, but they are ill-informed, and it runs a gamut to even those outside of Division III. We'll see where this takes us. I know every conference has been courted. It's a fact. Every conference has been courted. There are some conferences like the Centennial, and it seems the CCIW and possibly the WIAC who've said, no, we know our value, and this is not our value. There are many who criticize people, say, well, just pay for the streaming. I don't. You're missing the point. I said my 2 cents about it a few weeks ago. I think Division III is undervaluing itself. It's not using the money appropriately. We're not getting a better product, and we're suffering because of it. If you were getting 6 digits and your web streams were Olympic, ESPN-esque, hey, I'm not arguing with you. But you're getting 1 tuition and your stream isn't any better than it was 2 years ago, I have issues. I think we're cutting our nose off to spite our face with an opportunity with people frustrated at Division I to turn to something else. But they're not going to turn to us if we're hiding it. Especially schools with huge endowments. I understand endowments can't be used for everything. Do not get me wrong. But there are endowments and there's money around. And there's other ways to do it, by the way. There are other ways to do it. Hire somebody to be in charge of your development and your marketing. Suck it up. Hire that person. Go out and sell it. You will have people in your regions who will give you money to advertise for your and not just for web streaming. Make it a department thing. I've been in the middle of this. I've seen it done. I've seen it successful. Your alumni base will also do it. Anyway, I digress. I talked about the 2 cents. We don't need to jump off the rails. Monday, 12 Eastern, we'll be back with another Hoopsville next Thursday, at least a 7 p.m. show for sure, most likely a 12 noon show as well on top of that. If you got questions for our committee chairs that you want answered, Hoopsville at d3sports.com, Hoopsville at d3sports.com. You don't send an email, there's no guarantees I'm going to be able to get the question answered, especially if you ask it in show. Email us ahead of time, Hoopsville at d3sports.com. Quick note on MPI. There has been an issue on the men's side. Matt Snyder and his brother pointed this out. They've contacted me as well about it. The issue was this. There are a lot of schools, especially in the ODAC or NESCAC or where else, where they play conference opponents in non-conference games. Those in the men's basketball, they have a weighted measurement for home and away for non-conference, 1.2 for away, 0.8 for home. Conference games, that is adjusted to 1.1 and 0.9. So there's a little weight, but it's not as less in the conference. There's more for non-conference games. The non-conference games are being treated as conference games. This came up last year. It was a problem last year. It was supposedly corrected. Guess what showed up again this year? And to everybody's credit who was contacted about it, immediately went to get it fixed. And it'll be fixed for next week's rankings. But here's my problem. Hey, those of you at the NCAA, and I'm not talking about Division III's front office. I'm talking about those who run all the statistical and stuff like that. Can we get our heads out of our rear ends, please? This was a problem last year. It shouldn't have been a problem this year. This shouldn't have to be recreated all the time. It's the same problem. I guess I do have 2 cents. Same problem I have with the hiding the mileage system. Absolute insanity that we're hiding mileage from school to school to better understand if schools are within 500 miles. And it's more insanity that you've got debacles like in soccer where going through Canada was still a part of the measurement and we couldn't get the measurement right getting to Christopher Newport. And when you hide it, it just seems like you don't give a damn about people pointing out the errors. And when it becomes a problem, it's too late to fix. I'm sorry, but anybody in Indy who's in charge of these things, if you don't like me saying this, I don't give a damn. But get your heads out of your rear ends, treat Division III properly, fix the systems that aren't working properly, and get it right for this division. So we don't have to constantly contact people and go, what is wrong? And then get nasty grams or ignored by those in Indy who don't want to deal with it or aren't appreciative that people have noticed there's an error. And that has happened, folks. And then it falls on commissioners and presidents and athletics directors to try and figure out what's wrong, being a middleman to the actual information. And when they talk to the person in Indy and they scoff at it, what happens? So the fact that we had incorrect SOS or NPI numbers for 2 weeks now, and it's not something the racks can figure out. They don't have any mechanism on the racks. They determine if games are right as home and away and neutral and all that, but they don't have any mechanism to double check that the NPI numbers are being tabulated properly. The only ones who figure that out are Matt, Scott, and all the rest of those guys who are all those data geeks, and I say that with all due respect because I'm not. They figure it all out, then they have to go tell somebody else, and it took us 2 weeks to fix it. Get your heads out of your rear ends. Indy, I'm done with this. I am done with this constant, and by the way, transparency, there is no transparency. When I contact somebody on a committee and the concern is I'm going to report what I say because it's not going through official channels, that's not transparency. I understand you want to protect the image and protect the message. We're Division III. Stop it. And if that's people at the higher end of Division III who are putting that in place, stop it. Let's be actually transparent in this division. We had done a really good job moving forward, but we are heading in the wrong direction right now. Wow, I did not expect to have 2 cents today. But here I am, spouting off. That'll wrap it up. I got to get going. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA Studios. Thanks to our partners at D3 Hoops and the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. Thank you to the coaches and sports information departments of Bethany, Farmington, Gettysburg, Rhodes. Outstanding help. Thank you, Eau Claire, for sending me this quarter zip that I enjoy wearing so very much. And thank you to all of you who have sent jerseys and gear. We've got some gear to wear soon, including maybe a jersey. believe it or not. We've been sending out those videos. I hope you enjoy them as well. Please help us by going to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville, and we will see you back here Monday, 12 Eastern. You've been watching Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com. For the WBCA Studios, if you want to talk Division III hoops, you've got to listen to Hoopsville.